Roll call. I'm here, Mario should be here yet. Did something. Gary's here, Casey's here, Doug's here, Donna's here, Armand's here, Robin's here, Kathy is away. Mike Wilson's here, John's here, Fiona's here, Ellen's here. Dan is here, Kemp will be on Zoom. Jenny's here, Mike Zerio, Mike McKenna. Dean is here, and Shelley Rinaldi's here, the middle school principal. Okay. Approval of the agenda, have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Case,
I'll second.
Donna. Okay. Discussion. All in favor? I opposed. Minutes. Approval of minutes,
Double.
Second.
Fiona. Second,
Second.
Armand.
Yep.
Any discussion? All in favor? I
I
opposed. Okay, next, public participation. Members of the public and staff may bring to the committee's attention information, ideas, or matters of concern related to all duties and responsibilities of this committee. This committee will not allow comments regarding specific staff members or personal grievances. The time for individual remarks will be apportioned according to the number of speakers and will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker unless extended by the chair. Mr. Tucciarone, you have something to say? No? Oh, come on up.
What do you want me?
Right in front. Right in front.
Alrighty. Perfect here.
Perfect.
Alrighty. My name is Jack McCoy. I'm a senior at Torrington High School and captain of the baseball team. I'm here with my co-captains, Logan Tucciarone and Justin Vittel. The three of us have been a part of the varsity program since our freshman year. Over the last 3 years, we've had successful seasons and made deep runs in the MPL tournament and the state playoffs. We're very excited for our senior season. We're here tonight to ask the building committee and add at least one batting cage to the new middle school gym so that the baseball and softball teams can use the cage this season. As you may know, baseball is a game of failure, where the best hitters fail 7 out of 10 times. The baseball swing is something that needs to be worked on every day in order to fail less. As you also know, spring baseball in New England is not for the weak. We start practices in 2 weeks. Typically, most practice indoors the first 3 to 4 weeks, so that's 6 days per week, because there is snow on the ground. And even after the snow ends, we often practice indoors due to the rain at least once or twice a week for the entire season. In addition, for the last 3 years, before we get on the bus for an away game, we take batting practice in the cages to prepare for the game. A batting cage is something we will use the entire season. Right now, if the board does not approve putting a batting cage in the middle school gym, we will struggle to get the live batting practice that we need to be competitive. While I realize there's a cost involved in putting up a cage, there's also a cost in not putting up a cage. If we now have a batting cage to use, my understanding is that Torrington will need to pay for our team and the softball team to go to a hitting club in another town to use their batting cages. I'm not sure if Torrington will also be providing buses to take us to this, but I suspect not. In that case, you have teen drivers, like ourselves, spending our own gas money, driving their teammates out of town to practice hitting with our high school team. That just does not seem right. In conclusion, we ask that you please consider putting a batting cage in the new middle school gym that our baseball and softball teams can use this season. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll go first. Where's the batting cage? Where is it?
He says something about a middle school batting cage.
Where's the high school batting cage?
It was taken down to South End to be used. So we put back in the high school. It would be temporarily.
The high school gym destroyed.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, the future high school. gym.
Future high school gym.
Yeah,
Well.
well,
Can we make a motion to add it to the agenda?
We can't discuss it unless we do.
okay. See, I didn't know that. That's why you guys are here.
We can't just throw things out there.
That's why you guys are here.
People need to know.
Does someone want to second it? I'll second.
We'll put it on the 6. Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll put it on the 6F. Any other public participation? First order, progress status, Dan, you're up. Dan?
Good evening, everybody. Well, pretty pleased with the deliverables. We're a month into an occupied space. And through my packet, just to give you a couple of the updates as to work in place. Just for record, we did get our substantial completion on January 6th. I'm sorry, certificate of occupancy on January 6th. Current status of air balancing, everything is wrapped up with the exception of some rooftop work that we have to do, some isolated fan coil units and things that we have to do. That contractor is currently in the building working some second shift hours to wrap up what he can, and then he'll move on to the water balancing. BMS work or building management system work is ongoing. And all of our systems are finished up as far as AV, intrusion detection, security, etc. Through the occupied areas, all the work is wrapping, punch list work is wrapping up. I think as of the writing of this, we had 193 items open. We have currently at 93 items open, with a grand total on the project of 2,797 items, pushing us pretty close to that finish line. Other work that's still remaining and ongoing in the occupied portion of the building is down in the lower level, the construction tech space, dust collection system. We've been working on the Saturdays, putting in the final ductwork pieces. That's for the DC1 system. That's the first half or original base bid document or system. The DC2 piece of equipment is due to ship to the site next week, and we'll continue that installation. Also in the lower level is the CNC machine that's part of your engineering curriculum, and that piece of equipment now wired and ducted and set as such will start up next week. I have one piece of bad news in that the kiln we relocated one of your existing kilns. That kiln is set up. Last of that work is Saturday of this week. But the second kiln, which was ordered back in November, manufacturing has not produced that second kiln yet. I was pushed off again this morning. Now an anticipated delivery is 3/20. So ongoing work in the construction tech is, I think, the worst news I have is that, with Saturday work and with the second system just arriving next week, we're looking at another 3 weekends of work to get that second system up and running. That's what's going on in the occupied space. We're managing our punch list. We've been managing the punch list developed by school staff. Probably, I had never got a head count on it, but there's in the order of probably 70 items on that list. And I would say there's 10 left to resolve. Through the ongoing construction, we are heavily now ramped up manpower in the middle school section. We are running through the overhead work. Lighting is being installed, trims are being installed, or MEP trim work to finish up like duct connections and diffuser installations, that type of thing. The painter remobilized the site for the final coat of paint. So that work is now gaining its momentum again. And in the area H, or the renovation space, the abatement contractor mobilized the site on February 10th. He's finished now with some of the larger, getting rid of all the stuff that was in your existing high school, like bleachers and things that they clean out before they start doing the abatement work in there. And then in the two-story section, the same process has happened, wrapped up on Friday of last week. They finished their containments on Monday and Tuesday of this week. They are under containment doing the asbestos removal in the two-story section. All tracking well to the March 10th completion, which is when that portion or that section of the building that has to be removed and abated and select demolition, which means taking out the CMU as needed for the new clear story windows. Is all tracking well to their March 10th finish date. And that's our trigger date for, we'll start rolling into the area with foundations, and start the brickwork on the Route 8 side of the building. So that's all I have for what we're doing and the upcoming work. I mentioned the punch list stats that we have. We're down to 93. Again, still some second shift work. We have second shift work that'll continue for probably, I would say through the month of, actually through March, about another month. Cost and schedule items, or
Can I just?
we'll show some pretty pictures.
Can I
Yeah.
ask a question before we go?
Yeah.
Can you, oh, I'm not sure what happened, but I heard from a lot of people in the community that there was water in the auditorium,
In who's,
the
in
new
your,
auditorium at the high school.
in your occupied?
Yes,
Yep, there was we had a roof leak around one of the roof rings. I would, in the context of large or small, about a half a gallon of water entered the building before we became aware of it.
it
So-
was Noah's Ark got around town, just so you know.
What's that?
It was Noah's Ark by the time it got around
How
town.
that works. No, but that's what it was.
Okay, so there wasn't damage to anything inside.
Well, we had the carpet got wet, so where the water intruded into the building is where the roof drains are. The seam in the roof membrane failed. And so we had that water come in. It came into the balcony area at the back side of the auditorium. And we had a AV contractor that was working in the control room, which is below that space. And he could hear the water dripping and landing on the carpet. So that was good because he was able to alert us before that much water got involved. Yep, and then we went up there, found it, put the bucket in place. And then went and called the working contractor to come out and make it repair.
And they did already, or,
They found it.
I mean, they repaired it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, actually, it was on Saturday that we had the flooring contractor come back in.
Mhm.
Carpet tiles easily replaceable,
Mhm.
not much change, and not much to do about that.
That's good.
When something like that happens, who's responsible for the carpet tiles and things like that?
In this case, the carpet guy just replaced them. We didn't charge anybody for it.
Okay.
But if it was if there was a cost associated with something like that,
It'll be charged back to the,
it goes as a back charge to the trade.
okay,
That's the responsible party.
thank you.
So for cost schedule stuff, if I'll keep moving forward, or actually, I think we jumped right over Mr. Zario's, we don't have too many new photos because the work doesn't look too much differently in the middle school, but I'll keep talking unless you want to talk.
I can take it over if you want.
Oh, good.
Right now, we're looking at a picture taken in the classroom on area E, second floor, just showing some progress of our pendant light fixture installation. These are actually the similar, exact same pictures we have around high schools, classrooms. Just showing progress there. Next up, we have a picture of a restroom ceiling, pre-drywall in our area E, second and third floors. Our above ceiling inspections, the building official has passed, and as of today, our drywall is hung and undergoing our taping coats prior to our final painting. Dan mentioned earlier before, we have our HVAC final connections in progress. You can see in the picture, we have our connections to our chilled beam sitting in the grid to our left, and then on the right side, we have our air plenum returns. So all those are getting connected up. Some more progress of our lighting fixtures installed and energized in our area F, second and third floor corridors. In the same corridors, we're looking at our locker installation progress. We still have our final adjustment, our trims, our numbering plates, all of our locks still to remain to be completed. But they're actively on site working through all their issues. You have not seen already, here's a picture of some consolidated debris for some landscape clearing activities and removal around our existing high school. Out on the site, here's an action shot of the operator from our site work company. exporting some excess topsoil into some Torrington DPW trucks. Topsoil pile as of today has been removed in its entirety. They were loading and hauling for roughly a week, I would say.
So the city took it?
Yep.
Good. 4,500 yards?
Yep, that's the pile of topsoil that was originally generated and stored back in the athletic field area. That's the first pile that was available to go for any stripping operations, and yes, DPW stepped up and said, we'll take all of it. So they provided. So far, yeah, we'll see,
Yeah.
and where it's gonna, where it's gonna go. You're gonna have, a lot more.
Yes. Yeah.
Take it first.
Yeah.
They were happy to take it.
That's a lot of money.
Continuing on, just a basic picture here, just showing our demolition site perimeter fencing has been installed on the existing building. Everything's all fenced off. And right here, we have a little bit of an interesting picture, some exploratory excavation, to report the existing conditions of the foundation that's going to remain. Have sent some photographs to the engineer. As of today, we've been provided with a design for what we call underpinning. In other words, we're laying new foundation under the existing foundation so we can support the new design.
And that's because the earth goes down, right? Right now, if you approach what used to be the athletic storage area from the athletic field side, that grade comes up to the first floor, but ultimately we're gonna be able to drive around the back of the building. So we have to push the foundations down 3.5 feet below what will be future finished grade. And that's, as Mike describes, a process called underpinning, where you literally have to hand dig underneath those footings in order to pour and place concrete below it. And you do it in this weird staggered sequence. You can't take it out all at once because the building won't settle. So you take 4 feet out, you move up the line 12 feet, you take another 4 feet out, and you do it in 3 steps of work. Yes, there's a lot of frost this year. Big machine.
No, you have to handle it. Oh, nothing special.
We didn't hammer, we do have a hammer on site,
Yeah.
for some ledge that we're running into, the back. Yep, so that's. And the engineer, hired by CJ Fucci, created the design and the sequencing pattern. And that's off to our project engineer, Slam, to review and approve.
Last but not least, we got a drone shot taken in late January looking west. That's all we got.
That's what we got, yeah, and we can't see much of area H yet because, like I said, you open the door and all you see is plastic because it's under containment.
Danny, those lights that are going up, do they have the proper lenses, or are we gonna have to repeat that exercise?
We have to, we have all of the new lenses. So what Mario is referring to is that the lenses that came with the lights, when they were all delivered to us about a year ago, they started falling out, and the manufacturer has stepped up and now provided all new lenses that are slightly wider. And so in the occupied area of the building, they will be replacing all the light lenses. And to answer your question, yes, they're installing the
So-
new ones as we install
With-
again in
with the-
area E now.
With the proper lenses.
Right, with the proper lenses.
The other thing is, how's the back traffic? Is that under control now? I mean, it was crazy for a while with people and joggers and.
It's cut back
Yeah.
significantly. We put some additional signage out there. What we're talking about is pedestrian traffic that wants to just continue down Daily Drive. But we have a storm system installation that's currently ongoing along our easterly property line. And it's not good for people to be in the same place at the same time. But we have to keep the road open for the buses. The buses still travel that path, so we can't close it per se. We've discouraged people, and I think we've discouraged them repeatedly enough to where they're not doing it anymore.
Have we been closing the gates?
No, we haven't. We haven't been closing the gates.
There's some mechanical difficulty in doing so with the ice storm.
Well, yeah, we'd have to clean up the ice.
Oh, there's a bunch of junk piled up against it.
Yeah, and I know Mr. Scott, notified all the people who live back there that they really shouldn't be walking back there anymore either.
Yeah.
Walking, there's some kids that walk through there that
Yeah,
it's no longer.
once the ice melts, if we could get, you and I talked about it, if we could get those gates
Yeah.
closed during school hours.
Yeah.
Keep people from cutting through.
Yeah.
Vehicles.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah, vehicles, we stop using barricades.
Yeah.
And we
Oh,
put
you got
barricades in their way
Right,
and then we remove them so the
Yeah.
buses can flow through.
Yeah.
It's the pedestrians that like to use the path.
Yeah.
It's the shortest distance between 2 points.
That couple, the guy pushing the wheelchair, man, he's.
He's something.
Every day,
He'll go anywhere.
every day. Amazing fellow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll touch on a couple of costs and schedule things. I just want to make record that we did approve the athletic field scope revisions. Slam and Kemp will provide some additional information on how that's coming along. So that changes our cost reports significantly. But again, only to the positive. You have now an additional fund base awaiting documents for final pricing. Couple of the critical dates have been established that work with our schedule for installation. The initial one is a civil set of drawings that describes the storm system revisions that are necessary and the earthwork elevations. Those are tomorrow. So we'll be able to start pricing that work, and then SLAM is provided, and we've concurred with a March 12th date for the next set of documents, which covers the site improvements, the details for the curbs, the sidewalks, the different types of products that will be utilized in the synthetic field installation as opposed to what we had before. So that's scope and or that's schedule related and cost related. I guess something I didn't mention that I wanted to is we had an issue over the stage where a couple of the battens that are utilized for curtain travelers were, one was too close to the rear wall and interfering with the smoke hatch handles. They're like a pulley system that closes the smoke hatches. And one is closer to the front of the stage where the traveler was too close to a lighting batten that holds the stage lights. Took some effort, but we've got to a value that's that we agreed to with the trade contractor and their schedule because they are a national firm. They move their people around. That work is commencing on Monday. Should take about 4 days. The stage curtains will be installed at the end of next week. And then we'll do the final commissioning in the auditorium for lighting and sound. Training is ongoing. All of our systems that are not MEP have been trained on. In the MEP side of things, the fire alarm, intrusion, access, those are all behind us. We started the electrical training. Earlier this week, we did lighting controls. That's the classroom lighting systems. Tomorrow, we do the switchboards, panel boards throughout the building. Next week, we do the generator, and then we'll move into the plumbing. These are primarily trainings that will now gear towards Dean's group. And we just don't overwhelm, just pattern those out over the next month or so. Much else to report to you. I can give you the, with relation, as related to the schedule, we have been working again with the trades on the final schedule for the renovation. That is a difficult schedule to get to the point where we're finished product in August. And the gym is the most difficult piece to get to conform. We are looking at a turnover, but not of the physical gym area, potentially needing a couple of weeks into September to finish that. But what we held in the past month was called a full plan session where we worked with the primary trades. We did an exterior full plan, which included the masonry trade. It starts with the foundation trade, the steel trade, the masonry trade, the window trade. And we all agreed, we actually picked up about 7 working days in that meeting to where people agreed to work, in a sequence, overlap each other a little bit. So we're making headway. Our next full plan is with the rough MEP trades. That would include the underground trades that have to come, the new piping below grade, and then through overhead work and partitions. And then we'll have another one in about 2 months with the finished trades. So moving along, this had a little concern over the middle school. We started to slip from the May finish date into a June finish date. Had some conversations with Dinto Electric. They've stepped up manpower, and they put in last Saturday, they pulled in people from other projects to push along the interior lighting. We actually had 16 electricians on property last Saturday. So percentage wise, in the middle school, we went from 84 to 86%. We have still, again, we're in the late May for turnover of that middle school area for start of FF&E. Financially, in some major changes, we have a potential change amount that, that exceeds $6 million. That'll try when we spend that money. This month, we had a significant amount of use of CM contingency to wrap up your building. We cleared out a lot of the issues related to what we call phase 2A, which is what you're occupying now. We're in the process of closing out, through closeout documents like warranties and O&M manuals and as-built, pushing that all to closure. And part of that closure means we resolve any outstanding costs, as well as look to retainage reductions for the trades. So in the month of February's progress, in the month we're in right now, the requisition we're going to open tomorrow, we have been getting pestered by some trades, pestered, but it's appropriate, that they're looking to reduce the retainage. We hold 5% on what is now, $130 million worth of work in place. So far, we've only reduced to 2.5% the structural steel trade. In the next month, we are going to reduce the electrical trade down to 2.5%. The process by which we allow that to happen includes having all of their closeout documents in place, all of their commissioning complete, and changes reconciled, so that we are in a position to hold that money hostage until we get to that point.
We're not ever reducing the HVAC contractors.
Sometimes we don't even, well, I shouldn't say that, it's inappropriate. We are very restrictive on the funds that we allow MJ Daily to bill. And no, they won't be retainage reductions on the MJ Daily contract until the HVAC systems have gone through that commissioning process. As I mentioned earlier, they're still balancing in the building. They're still water balancing through the next month. And the commissioning agent, won't sign off on that, on their systems and the installed portion of their systems until that's happened.
Just let you know, they have to come see me, the president, get his check. Check is not automatically positive like we do the other ones. Check is a written check that I have that he doesn't get until he comes see me.
I have a question. Some of the change orders, like the applied fireproofing, due to damage installed by others, I know we've talked about, and I know some of the fireproof kids that were on that job, some of the damage that you mentioned was done by subtrades. Are we able to determine who the subtrades are, like in Big Dale maybe, or the ceilings and back charge, or are you going to hold it off until retainage?
As the damages occurs or as the spraying occurs, we would assign that cost, so we don't push it off to the end. That cost that you see as a change order is cost that is it's not negligent work as our contracts are written. The way our contracts are written, we carry two things in the fireproofing process. One is if a trade is egregious, in other words, if he has to scrape off fireproofing in order to install a hanger, he has to limit his scraping. He can't be egregious and take off more than necessary. And then we carry an allowance in the contract to do those kind of comeback patches. Unfortunately, through the course of the work, we've had exposed fireproofing, and I didn't carry a large enough allowance. So we've expended the allowance. And as I mentioned, if there is somebody who's responsible for that cost, because they did some egregious work, we're capturing it early. There really hasn't been, the trades are professional and they're not, they're not willy-nilly and knocking off product. It's, I'd say unfortunately, the duration of time that the fireproofing has been exposed and open to the weather was where we spent most of our money on fireproofing repairs.
Did we recapture this? I remember the 2 or 3 meetings about the ceiling grid problems we had because MJ nearly hadn't been. Has that been recaptured?
We did, we had probably 2 or 3 change orders in which we took, say in the order of magnitude of 15,000. 30, almost 30.
I got a question. You said that you're reducing 2% on the structural. You also said electrical is down 2%?
We released structural steel, we reduced their retainage about 4 months ago from 5% to 2.5%. In February, we're proposing releasing 2.5% on the electrical side. And that's of completed work.
How much is this contract?
This contract, I might have brought it with me.
I can tell you,
As well.
Pinto's contract. Daley's contract is 9 million, but Pinto's contract 11.7 million.
They are at 90%, 90% complete.
Still have about 300 grand.
We have 1.7 million.
Right.
Not
But in
paying us.
retainage, we have 532 at this point, so
Right, so you have 200.
we'll have 250 plus remaining.
Why do you ask? James,
I'm sorry.
why did you ask?
It just seems, just the scope of the work, I would think that structural steel, yes, I can see the 2%. It's hard to believe that, not hard to believe. I'm just questioning the level of electrical. Is at the same level of completion as structural steel?
Like I said, their percentage of their contract that's in place is 90%. And so we'll
And
be,
this is the entire project, now, right? When you do this
Right.
2%, it's not just for the high school side, it's for the whole entire project.
right. And so what'll happen is at the next month's meeting, I'll be asking to reduce them for everything that is 100% or everything that's related to delivered product to actually go all the way down to 0 on retainage. So that'll bring their retainage, that'll whack
How
about
long does the
200.
contract call for retainage being held?
It's at the discretion of the owner.
It seems like releasing all the retainage. How do we get the warranty? I shouldn't say warranty, but the comeback. On some that may have been paid in full. We usually hold it for 6 months on completion, half. What is that typical? What's the typical?
6 months is probably pretty typical. Into Electric on this one is just aggressive in their cash flow issues that they're having. Looking not to leave that money out there. So that's where the 2.5%, comes in to buy us another month.
We'll still have 300 grand. Oh, I said, okay, that's what I'm asking.
Right.
I said, you want to release it in March. It's 0.
Right, that would be March progress and deliverable as an actual check in April. And that would put you at a much, you only have
Yeah.
50 grand, 70 grand in retainage on what's left on the job.
Why would we release that then?
Because the
Because
work's in
they
place
won't
and
pay.
contractually, you're actually obligated to release it once you accept the work. So unless there's something on a punch list that's worth that value, contractually, you have to release. Yeah.
Typical contracts, once it's a change over.
That's how
Once it's
the,
re-
that's
once it's
how
done.
the ONG to City of Torrington contract is written. And so by default, whatever's in our contract with you is in our contract with them,
Even relative
turnover
to the
for-
retainage?
in relation to retainage specifically.
It's related to the turnover of the school to us.
It's related to accepting the work. So in the case of the high school, with the letter of substantial completion that came in January, you've accepted the work with a value of punch list. So the value of the punch list at the time of January 6th was established, about 250,000. If somebody was to ask me for their retainage, I would be obligated to bring to this committee the lease of full retainage.
I don't like that clause, but
I don't like it either.
it's probably too late. at this point.
Especially with the middle school not being turned over.
Yeah, that's
And,
exactly what that-
Yeah, and then the.
You're not
high school-
accepting the work on the middle school.
And
You're
the
not
high
paying the
school-
retainage on the middle school.
Yeah, and the high school gym still needs to get done. And the high school gym still needs to get.
Right, the middle school and the high school portion, anything that's not done.
Yeah.
Doesn't get full retainage release.
Okay.
Okay, so it's phased out.
Based on the phase.
Oh,
So once it's completed in a phase.
Right,
and you
your
accept it,
schedule of
then
values
it's-
is areas of work.
Gotcha.
The portion that's occupied now is the part that they get retainage release on.
But it's still, I mean, it's the contract, but it's still early.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why they're, we're not too aggressive in trying to push the money along, but we don't want to slow the process of the wheels of these trades.
It's the contract.
With the problems we've been talking about between the punch list and the other things you've said. Are any of these safety issues, is the building's handicapped accessibility in question at all?
No, we've actually had a survey done, because we did discover 2 toilets that weren't ADA accessible, that they were installed too close to the adjacent wall. So we've just finished a survey of every restroom and found every restroom other than those 2 to be in conformity with ADA.
So any handicapped person wouldn't have any trouble getting around the building and using this.
No, I
Thank you.
think I mentioned last meeting that I did bring my mother through in a wheelchair through the building. And, it was easy to maneuver. Yeah, no, there's, at this time, there's only those 2 restrooms that we have identified as ADA related issues.
Any other questions or?
What's the plan for those?
Not sure yet. I've spoken to MJ Daly about, is there a retrofit kit that allows them to not go into the wall to move the plumbing that's behind the wall? Because that would require removing the tile and everything else. There may be something out there that allows that to happen. Otherwise, it would be, we would have to remove the ceramic off the back wall, open up the wall, move the plumbing behind the wall.
So with their layout, it wasn't proper, it wasn't the walls.
No, they just pulled a bad number.
Any other questions?
This is, at the end of the day, did I miss, what was the root cause of this problem?
Just a guy pulling the table.
It's not.
Yeah, and I don't have that particular mechanic on site anymore, but I am told that he's aware of it.
He had short arms, maybe.
Right.
Measure one.
You have.
That's right.
Is Kemp on the line? Oh,
And
sorry.
if we could move the batting cages up in the agenda so
Okay.
these students don't have to sit here
Sure.
all night. I mean, I don't know what everyone else thinks, but
I was gonna say.
I'm sure they have other places they'd rather be.
Yeah, why don't we do it now then?
Move it up to B.
Yeah.
Motion, I'll second, to be honest. All in favor? Carry it. All right, so step 1, where is it? It's in a trailer or where is it? The batting cage, that is.
It's been moved to a temporary storage unit.
Hey, Tom.
I'm not sure. It could be in that 53-foot trailer.
Oh, okay.
Is that-
Yeah, I think it's in the 53-foot trailer.
You know what that is? What's your plan?
I don't know where it is.
We talked about a plan today a little bit.
Well, we talked about new batting cages, the possibility of new batting cages. Because we had already discussed, some of the different options.
So the option was that a new batting cage that we can temporarily install.
There were different options for batting cages. Okay, going back to our discussion last week. There's one that you can run cables. The length of the gym, the width of the gym, whatever gets you 70 feet, because that's what the cage is. And you can pull the cage out and pull it back in. And that's one that you would use just inside. The other option is to have a cage with a frame. That's not a cage that you can put up and take down on a daily basis. So if we had a cage like that, it would have to be set up in a semi-permanent position in a building. Okay, which will impede upon physical education classes in somebody's gym someplace.
Right.
Um. The only thing with that is then that cage would allow us then at some point to be able to take it outside and use it outside once we're back into the high school gymnasium where we have an indoor batting cage. So that's where we were on batting cages. We also discussed the possibility of having the kids go to a private facility in Thomaston. And I had discussion with superintendent about transportation and he understands the same way I do, is that, you know, that's the only way that it would work if we transport them. But transportation is sometimes tricky. I can schedule transportation pretty easy during that first couple of weeks of the season when we don't have games to transport kids to. But the difficulty becomes when we have 3 days of rain in the first week of April and we have to find a bus because it started raining at noon and I got to find a bus and get the kids down to the private facility during the hours that they're going to provide the facility for us. So either way, there's logistical issues. The cost either way is probably about the same. The cage will cost us, you know, probably around $4,000 to $5,000. The cost of the hit club plus transportation is probably going to cost us just about the same. So that's where we're at right now. And we've batted this back and forth as far as what the best case scenario is. Personally, I'd love to have another batting cage. I mean, I'd be crazy if I didn't say that, but I understand that, you know, it may not be the easiest thing to accomplish. Getting one put in. I don't know that putting it into the new middle school is necessarily the best option. That if we could somehow put it into the old building temporarily, into the old middle school, into the present middle school building. But
It would be a temporary curtain that just you pull over and you pull back, right?
correct. But there would be, there are cables that go the width of the gym or the length of the gym, whatever you need to, that stay in place.
And if you put it into the old middle school, it would stay in place, or you mean if we left it there, put it there and then moved it over?
Yeah.
Cables go both places.
Right, but,
What was the temporary one you're talking about? The first one you mentioned,
the
cables.
that they would take.
That's the one I was referencing.
the one on the cables would be one that you could put up, and you can actually take it down at the end of the baseball season and store it. Because you just, you know, use the hooks and that to secure it. The other cage with the frame that we could eventually move outside. That's not, once you put that up, it's not easy to, you know, it's gonna take time to get it back down. Time to put up and time to get it back down. So it's not something that at the end of the practice that day, we disassemble it, put it in the storage room and, you know, and I'll go home. It's something that would have to stay up for a prolonged period of time, you know, theoretically, I guess, during the season. So those are the options that I found after discussing it with several of the companies and got their opinions on what we could do. So that's where we're at. We've had the discussion. I've had discussions with Dean. I had discussions with the superintendent about best case scenarios.
The cage manufacturer, they install?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you can do it either way. They'll just give you the equipment.
Was that price installed?
Can't remember. I should have, I didn't realize this was gonna come up. I would.
My question, is there a way that we can use buy the one that would possibly go in permanently, but temporarily install it somewhere? Is there a retro where we can go back and forth? There's probably have to call these people, but that would make more sense to me. Something that
Which
we
case,
can temporarily
the one with the frame or the one on the cables?
Again, cables or poles can the cable one be converted into a pole one? So we're not buying something that we're not gonna use again. And use
Well,
permanent.
we could use either one, but you know. When we have the middle school and the high school gyms right next to each other, do we really need to have two batting cages, one in the
Right.
middle school, and one in the high
Your
school?
goal is to have one outside in the fields.
One
and is that
outside
why-
would be,
Is that why it's the turf?
would be the ideal if we're talking cages.
Which was, that's the spot to put it.
Well, no, not during track.
Yeah, I don't know. That's, I mean, we're talking about putting this,
Yeah.
let's just say you decided with this permanent one, where is it gonna go in this new turf project? Is there?
There's a spot, I would have to talk to Dan to get the exact, but there is enough room between the outfield of the softball field and the right field side of the baseball field. But I don't know what the topography is there as far as if there's other things that are gonna be there that would cause a problem. And that's on my list of the meeting that I told Mario that we need to sit down and talk about some things, but
And Kemp would be more able to speak to what space is available, you know, having laid out the fields.
Can
me
the
ask you a
storage
question.
cage go outside?
What's that?
The stored cage go outside?
no, the storage cage is an indoor cage. It hooks up to a electric pulley system. So we raise it up into the ceiling. When it's not being used, so it's not in the way of physical education classes and basketball and volleyball.
One that is semi-permanent that you described could ultimately be a permanent outside one.
The one with the frame can be it can be outdoors. It's made to be an indoor or outdoor cage. It has, the poles have a pad footing. That all you have to do is put a piece of carpeting underneath it when it's indoors to keep it from harming the floor. And then outside, it can be either permanently put into, they have a way of securing it into the ground, or, it's heavy enough to be able to just leave to use. The only reason to secure it would be to keep it from walking away.
Gotcha. So just so I'm clear, is the end game, what is the best world? Would we want at the end of the project to have a permanent fixture outdoor and then a portable one to be used in bad weather inside? Is that?
Yes, that would be the best case scenario.
So
Okay.
a permanent one outside plus maybe the cable inside that could
Correct.
be easily going up and down.
But having that framed batting cage indoors is going to inconvenience somebody's physical education program. And as a physical education teacher, I can tell you that they're not going to take kindly to that. So that becomes an issue.
Let me just throw out a crazy idea. This cable system, right? It's just from one piece of steel to another in the gym. And then do you pull the netting across or?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the cable is a semi-permanent installation. It stays up during the season. You can remove it after the season, put it up.
Here's why I ask. We have 300 feet of netting out that we take down every year for the soccer fields. Why can't we just string a cable and pull it across and let the kids hit into it in the gym? And then at the end of this
It's not-
construction, we take it down.
Yeah, it's not like a curtain. It's an actual tunnel of netting,
Well, I got you.
sides and the top.
I don't know how
And
many pieces that whole thing is out there. Have you seen them take it down? But it seems to me we have the expensive part. We have the netting.
The mesh is different.
Yeah.
Soccer mesh is different than baseball mesh.
It's a heavier gauge mesh for the baseball.
Yeah, it might be.
And it's a smaller hole. Time is of the essence here.
Yes.
Practice starts when?
I think-
So, I
I think if you're gonna drape this over the cables, is what I'm imagining what you're saying, is then that does not become an everyday put it up, take it down thing.
I'm just thinking like a shower curtain.
Does the current middle school have a batting cage
No,
for
no.
baseball for the middle
that's where it
school?
has to go.
And that, yeah.
No, but I'm saying our existing middle
No,
school doesn't
no,
have a
no.
batting cage.
And that's the other issue is then now you're gonna have the middle school teams coming there next year. And you're gonna have, you're gonna have many teams now. And they're gonna, one cage is not gonna be enough. If you really think about it.
So I mean, I think these kids have been inconvenienced
Just
enough. I think, thinking that they're gonna drive to Thomaston to batting.
Yes.
Well, that's
Something I'm interested in doing.
That's throwing money away.
I have
Right.
You
a
could swap.
thought or an idea. I'm wondering, would Woke Tech say they have a varsity baseball team, would they give us a couple hours after their practice for our kids to go over and use their batting?
Do they have?
They have boys volleyball in the spring. So they'll have 2 hours of gym time for that.
I know.
And then on game days, the gym will be completely unavailable, for use, but, that's, I think that logistically would be difficult to work out and find the time that,
Yeah, it
not
wouldn't
gonna
be
be-
convenient, but it might be worth a call.
not that I know of.
No, but I don't understand.
Do they have a cage?
Bring the batting cage over there?
No, I'm saying bring the
No,
kids
but
over,
you
the
should-
kids walk
kids over,
across
yeah.
the street, and if they had an
They have a
hour.
kid,
Do they have a cage? No, right? Yeah. So
Nothing
they,
indoors.
No,
okay, so they don't.
The one that's in storage, that's the one that is going to go into the new buildings, to the new building, we're reusing it.
Yes.
And that's it, and we can't just temporarily install that somewhere else.
well, I think now you're talking about you have to electrify it, you have to put all
Steel and
the,
power would need to be.
I wasn't, I haven't seen it before, so I don't know how. I mean,
Yeah,
it
it
sounds
has-
like it actually it's really-
it has multiple electric winches that raise it and lower it, and it's,
That's the higher tech.
it's, you know.
I just wonder, and back to my original, I wonder if the one with the cables that we would install in the school, the middle school, that they can get out of the way for gym class, can that in the future be retrofitted to a permanent one?
The people I talked to at the company say no,
Okay. All right.
that's, that it's because of the construction of the outdoor system supports. And the indoor, it's basically a rectangular tunnel,
Yeah, okay.
where the outdoor one, the one with the permanent supports is a more rounded. So it's different dimensions of nets.
Just put it
But would it work?
old middle school to the new middle school. I mean, it's not necessarily temporary. You go, put it temporarily in the old middle school, now we move it to the new middle school.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Right.
$4,000, even if it's $5,000. You guys can negotiate who's gonna pay for it, but,
Oh, you're saying take it and put it indoors
well, yeah.
at the
we don't-
middle school in the future
Correct.
instead
Well,
of
yeah, but-
outdoors in the field?
Well, if we can afford one then,
Yeah.
it's fine, but
I
we
guess that
gotta,
makes
we gotta do
sense.
something. And, you know, you guys know what we're paying for, so we gotta do something. So,
Is there a
The one
need
we
for,
have in storage is a permanent one?
That's going in the new high school gym. So Gary's saying, take
It's a
this.
It
permanent-
has
It's
it has a
not-
metal frame that the net hangs down from, and then when you're done using it, you just kind of put the netting up over the sides of it, and it gathers it all in, and then you just raise it up into the roof.
What does that do for the busing and all that? And
What do you mean?
What?
why don't we just put it in the new middle school gym?
that's what I was about
is it
to.
ready? I mean, baseball starts in 2 weeks. So
It'd take 2 weeks to build it in the old middle school gym and in the middle school gym.
okay, but no, then put it in the
Yeah.
middle school gym. I
This
agree.
is. I wonder,
PE classes.
No.
Oh, because it doesn't go.
Well,
up and down.
it's like I said, somebody's PE classes are getting disrupted,
For a
whether it's
period
at
of
the,
time?
at the present middle school or at the new middle school gym at the high school.
All right, hang on, I think this is what we're talking about. Getting one like we have in the high school, getting one for the middle school.
yeah, that's what I was.
So get an indoor one.
That's
Get
ten
get an
thousand,
indoor one.
that's $10,000 plus
Yeah,
steel
it's
and
it's
everything.
expensive, and we probably
How
would
about
not be
the
able
one-
to get it
but
in.
You're saying that the one
bought
you're
and
talking about
installed.
that's on the curtain that you can move back and forth doesn't impact gym class.
Yeah, well. Not as much as having the one with the frame, but you're gonna have. I haven't looked in real close in the new middle school as far as. It would have to, the cables would have to go on the side where the offices and locker rooms are, because you have the bleachers on this side. So. You know, those cables are gonna be 10, 12 feet off the floor. They might come into play in physical education, volleyball, or, you know, things like that, but you know. The one where we can draw it back on the cables is the less obtrusive for other programs. You know,
But if
as
we
far
do
as
it, if
cages
we
go.
do it at the new school, the new middle school, we don't have to worry about transportation.
They're not there right now to interrupt.
And is this guy like readily available to come and assess it tomorrow to see what we can do? The rep or is it?
Yeah, they're out of Massachusetts, I believe, so but he sent me, you know, he sent me the quotes for purchase orders and all that. I have it, I can forward it on to you. You know, I didn't know this was gonna come up tonight, or I would, you know, had sent that out, but. And then I can, you know, I
think
can
it's worth a
call.
phone call in the morning, to be honest with you. Just saying.
Just gotta get that.
Idea.
Can we have people in the new middle school gym?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
playing basketball, having classes.
Yeah, there's
Well, they are having.
By Saturday,
Nobody's in
it's
there.
the outdoor.
They have, after. the
Right.
school, they have
Yeah,
baseball.
I mean, then we would have to, I mean,
That's okay.
athletic department at some point, if we wanted a batting cage outside, we'd have to investigate doing that.
So can I make a motion that they proceed with whatever way they can get them something to make it operational for them starting practice in 2 weeks?
Oh, I have more of the temporary structure as we call it. That's the most likely option. Let's agree to, I don't know who's gonna pay for it, but we agree.
Well, that's a big
Move forward.
question.
Yeah, well, you guys can figure it out later. Okay, we're talking $4,000.
4,000, right? Yeah.
Or
Not pulling over 60,000 in change orders.
If that works.
If that,
If it doesn't, it's a $10,000, so all of a sudden there's not.
I've been told the temporary will work.
I think if I may, what a nice compromise would be. This is just a suggestion to the committee. I think if Dean calls tomorrow and let's just say that $4,000 price is just for the equipment, which is my guess. I doubt that includes installation. If maybe the building committee would we would pay for the cage, the portable cage out of the Board of Education, and if the building committee would be so kind to have O&G put the lines in, which, I mean, it's literally eye hooks that go into a stud. It's not, I mean, in my experience, I used to coach softball way back in the day when I was a much younger individual, but I think that would be a nice compromise if this committee was looking to make an action here. That would just be my suggestion, working together, because the board would pay for the cage.
I'll amend my motion to that.
Second.
Well, first step is well, I guess we gotta vote. But first step would be have the meeting. I mean, it's hard to say. We have no idea what our exposure is.
Can we clarify what we're voting on?
Yeah, we're going to investigate the temporary on a cable.
Okay.
You pull it out and you pull it back when they're done. Remember, we have a girls softball too, so.
Yeah.
It's not just moving the boys, it's gonna be moving the girls, and it's gonna cost more than $4,000 to ship girls back and forth.
Better do it in the new, that would just get.
That's correct. So this eliminates that problem too. That makes the middle school softball players can practice, in the gym.
When you say temporary.
No,
cable,
we'll have
can't
to-
it be
It can be permanent.
Address
Yeah,
that.
okay.
We were calling it temporary because we would move it to.
No, I don't.
But if I may, Don, it's gonna be permanent for the season, but what those cables do is once it goes on the eye hook, you literally take the carabiner off at the end of the season. Those wires come down, we have to find a storage space for it. And then because the hooks are already there, the eye hooks, someone from Dean's facilities crew goes in and literally hooks it right now. Everything is on a hook system and it's a carabiner system.
But it can be used, the use is permitted.
No, I'm sorry.
Use is permitted.
100%.
But you're not doing this every night, you know, you're not taking it down.
Once a season.
Season, yeah.
Glenn, what do you got to say? Yeah, puzzled look on your face.
Well, I'm having a hard time. Is it just one curve going across?
Tunnel.
I think it's
The tunnel's the thing that goes up and down.
No,
The
portion.
The temp looks like a temp to it.
I think it's gonna go like a shower curtain around.
So you need more than one
What do you
cable.
call it, a shower?
Yeah, you too.
It comes with the system.
And what about the end?
Actually, I think there's three cables to it. I think there's a center cable to it. There's two sides of the center.
It's manufactured to accommodate all of that.
Yeah.
It comes with a system of cables and everything else.
Do we affect any contractual agreements with current trades doing work in the current gym?
We're out of your gym. So the gym's turned over, it's in full
Yeah,
use.
turned over, so there's no. Okay.
So if it's been turned over, why is building committee even discussing it?
There's,
Isn't this a Board of Ed question?
Yep.
Oh,
No, it's both. Both. Because it's something that affects the process, the progress in the building, and we're gonna use it in the gym now or next month, we have to get it installed, and we have to accommodate the changes. So, but either way, it needs to be addressed, we can agree tonight to investigate it, and if the Board of Ed wants to pick up the cost, then the Board of Ed can agree to do that. There we go.
is it legal for the building committee to spend money on something that isn't its responsibility?
Furniture, fixture, and equipment.
Can't hear.
That's up to me. We're spending $9 million and $14 million on furniture, fixture, and equipment.
This did not go through the state process.
Again, we have 2 weeks, so we gotta vote on something. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, we can't be sending girls and boys.
No, that's
It's not
a
anybody's
waste,
fault.
that's a
It's not
waste of
anybody's
money.
fault.
It's a
I'm
waste
just
of
saying,
money.
can't belabor this.
Board of Ed meets next Wednesday.
We have to order it this week. So
I'll drop
These
off.
things that we have to do because it's a rush, because of our own situation,
Fine, I'll
things
pay
we've
for
created.
I'm not gonna get this kid up. I will pay for it. Rubber purchase, write up whatever you want. I'll pay for it. This is insane.
And can we have to accept the gift, though? Board of Ed have to accept that kind of gift.
I think Gary's supposed to be dead before we accept it.
Just do, what's great. We're gonna make a motion to investigate whether or not we can get this and we can accommodate it. And if we do, then I will offer to gift it. I'll pay for it up front. And if we don't take it, I'll bring it somewhere else. I'll bring it to another school, another town. But these kids can't be taking buses. And we can't be spending money on buses. I mean, is the Board going to get paid for the buses?
We can't do things illegally.
I don't think getting a gift is illegal.
Well, I think if the building committee does something for a building that's been turned over to the school system.
It's a change order.
the change order to what, Gary? Building project, the building
Sure.
committee?
They've got to get in and they've got to put the cables up.
Can I just?
We're buying more,
Hold on,
buying more
hold on.
equipment. We're buying extra tables.
If we're worried about busing, they're gonna, when they're
Nothing to do with that.
mid-April, when they go outside, we're gonna have to be busing them somewhere anyway, so we're really talking from 2 weeks till they can get outside. Or when it rains and they're gonna practice inside.
But this is.
Other than that, they're taking buses somewhere, because we have no facility.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
They're ripping up
They
the
can't
fields.
practice on site.
No, they can bat inside. That's the goal. Bat inside, practice inside.
So they're only gonna practice inside and they go out and play games.
I would assume so. I mean, they're here. Let's ask them.
We practice at Fuse. We have this amazing cage at Fuse already. Oak Ave, we have another cage outside. That's 2 cages already outside. We don't need another cage outside. We need them inside. We practice,
Right.
majority of our half of the season, the beginning is all inside. We don't do anything outside because of snow. Right now, it's end of February, and we have what, 7, 8 inches on our field? We're not going to play ever outside. Just hit inside, that's what we just want to do.
So here's the way I'm looking at it. I don't know why this wasn't accounted for by somebody some way,
It
what
is
we're
what
gonna
it
do
is.
with these kids. So if the Board of Ed is willing to pay for the cage, the building committee is paying for the accommodation for OMG or whoever to install. That's how I'm looking at it.
Right.
Because I don't, we should have known about this. I
The
don't know why
building's
we
turned
didn't.
over, ONG's not involved,
The building's not.
correct?
You're talking about the middle
Right.
school.
You can
Middle school
also- you
building's
can,
not.
We can
ask
The
me to
middle
build
school
something
gym
else
is.
Within
It's a
your
change
school.
order.
It happens all the time.
It's a change.
And I mean, I think there's a argument to be made. It's the middle school gym. The middle school is not occupying the project space yet. So we may
No,
be
it's
using
valid.
it. I mean, I know it's probably technical, but
That's valid.
we're not talking
Yeah.
$60,000. We're talking a small amount. There's an argument to be made that kind of like, let's get this done. However, but
Bring it to the Board of Education. If the board doesn't want to approve the $4,000, then I will offer to pay for it and you can approve my payment. But we gotta get this done.
That works for me.
Yes, I agree with you. Thank you. That makes sense. But in the meantime, we can make a motion that we can investigate it in the building committee side. Correct?
As long as there's
Well, I
no
don't think
cost.
Well, hold on.
Okay,
If I may,
somebody want to make a motion.
No, I did just, I respect everyone's opinion. For the amount of money that we're talking about, We do not need a board approval for that amount. That's why I stepped up and said we would pay for it.
Okay.
My offer and my suggestion, working hand in hand with OpenG and everyone else, is for them to just put it in. We are not talking a lot of money here.
Yes.
I can tell you, even if the best union guy does it, you're talking maybe at max $800. So it's not a lot of money. It's 4,000 for that and
There's
800, and
$800
Dan, you know that.
bucks on
Jesus, why do you keep throwing wrenches in this? We're agreeing to buy. Can I make a motion that the building committee agrees that?
We already have.
It's already in motion on the
Okay,
floor.
well, somebody still need a motion, so please.
I mean, I want the motion to be that the building committee pay up to $5,000 to accommodate this.
So moved.
In joint venture with the Board of Ed, so they're gonna buy the cage. We'll install it, because I think it's ridiculous.
I
that
second
we're
that.
2 weeks out.
Second.
Except that this is a committee of the Board of Education.
Right.
Okay.
Well, could you read back
Or
the
you can turn
motion?
it Down.
Just the-
Yeah, we spend up to $5,000.
But I think you have to break it down.
Authorizing to pay up to $5,000 for the purchase and installation.
Just the installation.
We're paying for
Yeah,
this.
just
The Board of Ed is gonna pay for the cage. The
Um,
building
right.
committee's paying for the installation.
Okay, then we don't need a,
The installation
Board of Ed.
is gonna be zero. Don't worry about it. Okay, I'll take care of the installation. Let's move on.
But we have to, we have to.
Okay.
we just need a vote.
We have a vote.
Gotta-
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's go.
All opposed?
All opposed?
Nay.
Sorry. John. Okay.
Not because I hate baseball
No,
and
no.
kids, only because I see this as an issue that we are overstepping our bounds.
Where were we, Dan?
Now, now what is Kemp?
Oh, yeah, we moved those boys up, boys.
Yeah, you can go.
You can go if you want, you can stay if you want.
Thanks, guys, good job. Yeah, nice
Thank you for
job.
coming.
Yeah, Ed, I'm on. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Good evening, everybody. Sorry, I'm not there in person. I'm not feeling well today, so thought it'd be better to stay home and attend virtually. Excuse me. I wanted to give you an update on where we are with the field revisions. I thought I would start by showing you where we are currently with the design and then how things are changing. I think it's just to be a little refresher for everybody. But I did want to bring your attention to this retaining wall here and the alternate stairs that were purchased as part of the contract, because that's going to be important when we look at the revised plan. So what you have today in the current contract is all grass fields. And we're going to be changing to all synthetic turf fields. I think everybody is aware of that. So this is the new layout with very similar layout to what we had in our alternate originally for a turf field to the north with a rectangular soccer field overlapping the outfield. The new baseball field in the center with an overlapping outfield, soccer field in the outfield there, and then the varsity softball, which will have athletic lighting. One thing to note is that we were able to relocate the javelin throw area to the north part of the site in the natural grass area. So that was a positive. There is some overlap with the javelin or the shot put throw area. So those events would have to be scheduled accordingly. But I thought it was positive that we were able to get that into a natural grass area. One thing that, so looking at that retaining wall, with the change of the field moving to the east, up on the page, we were able to reduce the extent of this retaining wall pretty substantially. It goes all the way back to here at this point. And we were able to slope this portion of the site out to a more gradual grade. We were also able to use a ramp system rather than that alternate stair to get from the lower parking lot level to the field level here, which we all thought was a positive move, rather than having the stairs. Another thing that we've been working on is location of the auxiliary building. We looked at two different locations. This location here in the kind of teardrop zone, just west of the tennis courts, was one, but we have a conflict with a primary electric line, as you can see, that goes right through that proposed location. I'm working with Dan to coordinate on whether or not it's more cost effective to relocate that or to place the building to the south, where we also have a conflict with an existing drainage line. Just if you can see through the drawing, these gray lines, this is a sanitary line and a easement, a 20-foot wide easement across that sanitary line. So we're keeping the new building off that easement, but there is that drainage line that comes through. So to place the building in this location, we will have some relocation of utilities as well. So either location will have that. So let me go to the next drawing. All right, so I think this is where we're headed. And Dan, if you have any input on that today, please let me know.
Just so for everyone's benefit, the teardrop that's to the left of where the building footprint is in this screen, that's where the primary power that services the transformers that service your existing turf field run through that zone. This past summer, we had to relocate that primary service. It didn't conform to the layout of what was going to be built. The cost to relocate that primary was in the order of magnitude of $40,000. So in the scenario that's on your screen now, you would be relocating storm piping. That would be in the order of magnitude of about $30,000, maybe a little bit less than $30,000. That would be a cheaper option. The other downplay to relocating primary is we're entering into a time when we wouldn't be able to do that work without impacting your ability to keep the power on to the stadium. You know, we took that down this past summer of 2024. This took some coordination with Eversource, and the power was down for 2 months as we dug up the pipes, relocated the pipes, moved the infrastructure, and then had Eversource come back and re-energize it. So it's a financial hit in either scenario where you're sitting on an existing utility, but it would certainly be more expensive to relocate the primary, as well as it may impact schedule on the job.
You can never predict the error system show up. Yeah. We have a rainstorm, it might be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Late.
We don't want to hit there.
Yeah, it could be lost.
No, I think
So Kemp knows there's from Kemp's email, there's some impacts that are related also to locating the building in the option you see on your screen.
Right, thanks, Dan. So the grading in this corner is such that the building will take up some of the grade. So there'll be a small retaining wall right here, and then the earth will be placed against the building. So there will be some raised foundation wall along these two sides, south and east. So we'll have a little bit of cost increase to the building itself as compared with just a flat slab on grade that would be in this location. But based on what you said, Dan, it seems like it's a schedule and cost impact to relocate again the electric. So we'll go this route if everybody is in agreement.
got a question, Kemp, hold on. Okay.
Jeff had one first.
Go ahead, Jeff.
How far is it from how far in between the two locations? It just seems to me like you want the building, which is going to have concessions in it as well, right? Closer to the rest of the fields. I don't see why would you want to put it even further down the corner?
Why wouldn't you, or why would you?
Why wouldn't you put it in the alternate location? It's more central to all of the fields.
Well, but the only crowds you're really gonna get is at the stadium field, the bulk of the crowds, I should say, not all of them. Right? You're gonna get 800 to 1,000 people at a soccer or football game, football. In the other fields, they're gonna be primarily practice and JVs. Or even if it's baseball, you're gonna get 100.
Is it 100? Is it 100 feet between those two locations, or is it there? I don't see the scale here. I mean,
It's about 65 feet between here to here.
somewhere
It's
around.
not a lot.
Yeah.
Jeff, you don't want to move, I mean, Eversource, may take them a year to get.
I like it where it is.
Yeah, I'm just
I
saying
was-
that.
One more, Kemp, go ahead.
Yeah, how much are you showing us reducing the retaining wall height? That's a good thing.
The height diminishes as it comes to the north, but it goes, I don't know how many feet this is, probably about 300 feet that we're reducing.
Does it
We are
go-
we're taking a small portion of it here and moving it on this side of the ramp to hold that earth, but it's a pretty substantial reduction in retaining wall.
That much linear footage.
Yeah.
Because it was what, 900 feet before, or 600 feet? It was big.
Well, it goes off the page here to around the corner, but yeah, it came all the way
I'm looking
to here.
So that would eliminate steps and it would be a ramp?
Well, it's a lot of money too.
Right, this will be a ramp system that will go up to the upper plateau for the fields as opposed to the stairs in the previous design. I can show you this is what it looked like in the previous design. And that red line is that same red line I was talking about.
Your conversations and questions.
Yeah, remember there was an alternate for stairs. Can we eliminate that alternate or?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. This alternate was purchased, but it's now going away with the revised design.
$90,000 stairs, so we can eliminate that then.
That would be a savings.
Yeah,
Right, this is, I have the outline of it here just to show where it was.
concrete into the stairs, and the stairs were about 80,000, I think.
Yeah, this will be a much more cost-effective way to go with this ramp.
And handicapped accessible. It's just
Yeah.
a better option.
Correct. We always had accessibility this way, and then you would have to come around previously, but we had it before. But it's now giving you two means of accessibility in both directions.
If I can, I just want to capture some of the information you've gotten. So this new layout design has a slope that gets from the baseball field down to the building, down to the driveway.
Correct.
Of a flatter area and a retaining wall. Unfortunately, the block has all been procured for that retaining wall. It's already in the yard, so just not to get too excited, you're gonna get a restocking cost of giving that block away. But you're, no, it didn't come from OJ. The comment about the stair, now that's a genuine comment. There's no cost incurred yet. You're gonna see almost a dollar for dollar savings on I believe it was about a $90,000 alternate to construct that set of stairs. So there is, you've gotten some benefit here out of the relayout and the design.
Can we sell the brick to people? And it was a new school and they.
That's what East Providence, there is a lot of money.
Have a garage sale for a bunch of retaining wall blocks.
Yeah.
I've all seen them out there. We got quite a few of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a
I'm
lot.
gonna take it back.
Yeah, we'll take
They'll take
the,
it back. You just charge you to handle it.
yeah, that's good. Okay, great.
And
Any
then the
other
other
questions on that?
hold on, Kemp.
if I can, Kemp, I'll throw it out there. I mean, we have a long skinny building here. We were basing our budget on just a square foot approach. If there is an option of building a square building instead of a long rectangular building, it's mainly storage. So you can pretty much partition your restrooms and your concession in any form or fashion. I didn't pass that by you, Kemp. I don't know if you think there's any merit to reducing the amount that you're now cutting into the bank that's on the top of the page by bringing that end of the building down and widening it out.
Yeah, we could look at that, Dan. The only problem with doing that is then it starts to encroach on this sanitary easement. If we start, and then we would have to push the building further to the south to compensate.
No, because the further you go up on the screen, the taller the earth is.
Yeah.
In order to have, a flat grade.
So if we were to do something like this, you can see that it's now on top of the sanitary easement. So I would have to then push the building, like that. But it's a valid comment.
Yeah.
Is this the pipe that we were talking about relining?
No.
That's the sanitary, this one here.
The storm system is gonna remain.
So the one that we're not, the easement piece that we're not using is for the sanitary or for the?
It's for the sanitary.
It's for the sanitary.
Then have we looked yet to see if it's still suitable to realign it versus having to replace it?
Tomorrow.
So the answer to this could, if you have to replace it for some reason, that opens up a whole different set of possibilities.
Yes and no. I mean, you're gonna replace it in kind in the same location. You're not gonna start moving the sanitary pipe around in order to get it out of the way. Potentially.
You'll do the trench in sections, take it out, replace it. It'll be difficult. It'll be dirty too.
It is an active sewer line. It's bringing all the
We're gonna get Mario to plug the one in.
from Daily Drive. And you're fixed because it goes currently underneath the existing synthetic field.
Right.
So your point of tie-in can be.
Anything else,
Yeah, I wanted to share with you the building. So I wanted to just zoom in here a little bit.
We handed it
we
out. as
handed it
well,
out,
too.
we got it in.
Oh, you did? Okay, good. So you don't want me to go through it?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, and go
Yeah.
through, but everybody's got a hard copy in front of them.
Yeah,
All right, so this is currently the plan of the building, pending the comment was just made by Dan. We have a little cutout, so we have a bit of an overhang for the concession window. So the roof will be over here, hanging over that area, so you have a little cover. The concession space with a door off the, which will be the west side. These doors are all facing north. We have an oversized door for the storage, and then a person door for the storage and 2 restrooms. We've got a hip roof system, and it's a 4" and 12", so we can utilize asphalt shingles for the roof, so that'll be a cost, a good economical way to go with that. And we are currently planning on using the same CMU veneer that we have on the gymnasium. So that's all I really have. The rest of the 3 sheets that you might have handed out are some sections and some that are still a work in progress. But it gives you a sense of where we are with it. Just an update on progress. We do have we have our backgrounds. The grading is complete, and our backgrounds have been sent around to our consultants. We're having a coordination meeting tomorrow with our consultants. Banesh has completed the revised drainage report. We have a meeting scheduled with the planning office on Monday morning to review that with Jeremy and his colleagues. So we should have our final direction on the drainage plan, and then we'll be able to finalize the drainage documents.
So Ken, Arrow's not looking at me. So you say the drainage underneath the turf, you bring it to the city, or you're talking about the drainage that will capture that water? Or both?
Well, the drainage for the under drains for the fields, as well as surface runoff of the balance of the site, all that has been reevaluated.
Good.
anything,
Mario's explain what's happening with the demo. It could be okay.
Comes going to planning and zoning
something Monday,
on Monday.
Right.
not to,
Jeremy,
Jeremy's office.
yeah, Jeremy's office, the
Yeah.
town planner and zoning.
Determine if it's acceptable.
Right, whereas it could be a administrative change, which would certainly speed things up.
Right.
Or they could decide that it needs to go to a zoning meeting, which we hope,
Which will delay us.
which would delay us another month. Kemp, if he says he could do it administratively, then what does that look like for the schedule?
Well, that'll certainly save time on the schedule. What we'll do is we'll prepare a cover letter with the documents that we send to O&G for the PR. And we'll schedule a meeting with Jeremy just to go through what it was, in detail to what it's going to become. My only concern is that we're adding a building.
Well, yeah. Well,
I think the field changes would be administratively acceptable, but it's the building that's giving me a little agita.
all right, so can we handle those as 2 separate items so we could start the fields?
Right.
Yes, we can. Actually, we've structured it that we're going to have 2 separate PRs. We're going to have the fields and the drainage as one PR so that you guys can move forward with that. And then we'll have the building as a separate one.
Good, so they keep.
So I have one last question.
Go ahead, one more question,
So
Tim.
if they want to send it to a public hearing, how does that impact our final place? Because for
We, via first, field turf, you mean?
Correct.
Yeah. Field turf has a price increase about the third week in March.
Yeah, right.
Well, just the process, we want them to pass out of drawings that's approved, so they can't give us a final price until it's approved by the city.
Well-
The city engineer, I'm not saying he's going to. But if it goes into, I'm just laying it right up, it goes into a meeting with the civil engineer,
Yeah,
it could change everything. Hopefully it doesn't. So when we give final pricing on the field, if it has to go to the city engineer, we may see more.
well, I think this committee, has voted that the priority items are field, building, lights,
You know,
right?
Yeah.
So
it's covering everybody.
I think we can make a deposit with field turf and secure our pricing.
How about Fuji?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right. Well, I don't want to just, I want to make sure that Gary's comments are clear. If the documents don't get approved to construct, and even though I've got a price in because the drawings are finished and we priced it. If there's a risk at releasing costs to O&G or releasing a change order to O&G because the city hasn't approved it at the planning and zoning level. Secure your price,
City engineer.
to secure your pricing, you'd be at risk that somebody would blow up the process and you would not end up buying all that carpet. That's the risk that you're after. If you want to reduce that risk, you don't authorize the purchase of that synthetic product and you see the price increase that comes in March.
Yeah. No, but everybody should know this.
That there's, that element is out there. We'll price as soon as we get documents so that you guys will have numbers. The way we're structuring, obtaining the costs here was the initial set of development documents that SLAM is going to present to the city planner on Monday contains grade information and storm system information. That's the first thing that we can price. What's different about the storm system that we're going to build now? Again, you don't have approval, but I'm going to be asking you to approve that portion of the cost to ensure you don't impact your schedule. As all earthwork moves forward, the first thing you do is underground storm and rough grade. So we would need to get involved in that in March, by about March 15th. So that's where the next building committee meeting, we're looking to see where those numbers are. If they're small, it doesn't require this group to make that commitment. If it's large, then it would be postponed until your March meeting. The next set of documents come to us in March, and then we'll go through the pricing exercise of validating what we got for pricing thus far. Is there any change to that? Because now sidewalks are a little different, retaining walls are a little different. That pricing won't come in until the first week of April. And we'll be presenting that at the April.
So I thought at the last meeting, we didn't actually know what field turf's price was because there might have been some kind of credit because it really wasn't design build.
We do have that figure.
Yeah.
Field turf's pricing is in and
yeah.
We don't have it though.
we can share it if you.
Yeah, we can share.
Fiona, you might be,
0.74.
are you confusing field turf and Fuji?
Yeah.
You might be,
Yeah,
because Fuji's the overall package and field turf is just that,
Just
field turf.
but I'm just going.
We have
by
a,
when
we have a hard number,
Which
On-
is less
on
than
field
its
turf.
original,
right? They're
Right.
actually cheaper than.
cheaper than they were.
So we got a number on the grass. I'm
So I
sorry,
guess where I'm.
I call it grass, on
What
the
I'm
turf.
Still confused about when we met, part of the reason for going this route was because it was design build and they were gonna do it all. And that wasn't the case. So I guess I misunderstood. At the
No,
last meeting, I thought you guys were trying to get some credits because they weren't doing it.
No, it is design.
Go ahead.
It's design build. There's two elements. There's the turf and there's what's underneath. Fuji gets the contract underneath. They release it up on the turf guys. They've done their work. They've given us the max price on the best product out there. We talked about it last month. It was, here's the $6 million, but we don't have all the final numbers in yet from everybody, which could change. Field turf was the number that they gave us, but they got with another number.
But the original number included drawings that we didn't actually get, to my understanding.
No, we did.
We got the drawing.
We got
That,
some,
the
we got
drawing,
drawings.
the
that
drawing
we
from
could
Field
use.
Turf enabled Slam to do this work.
We got the drawing.
So Field Turf did a whole set of drawings, and then Slam now had, not now, but is or has taken those drawings and designed how the water, where the water runs off and how it runs off, and if it meets the same specifications.
Right, and everything around the limits of the. field.
That I understand, but I didn't see then the architectural drawings on the fields. I saw a couple little,
The concept right there.
no,
The
not this
layout.
one, but the
The
one we
layout.
got, that one. That's not an architectural
Concept
drawing.
No,
So I
no,
guess
their
I
drawings are
misunderstood
about
it the
4
last
pages.
meeting.
There's no architectural, it's a. That's, well, I think that the Slam had said they're going to incorporate. They're gonna review the spec and then they're gonna incorporate their spec and their submittal afterwards, but no, they submit all the spec with it. And everything that goes along with it, and they're reviewing it for accuracy, and I'm not sure if the others, said they might be reviewing it or no. We had the meeting in the trailer. But it's, there's a whole process they have to go through, but they did submit what had to be submitted, including the specifications and those things to be reviewed by SLAM, which I think Ken brought it up last month. They have to approve it, and then they have to clarify. So it was designed, I mean, they did do it, and they did the underground as well. Because we did some geotech work subsequent to that, I asked for some changes. But they did do the drawings, and they're submitted and they're priced. But they gave us a price using the best product out there, which I'm not sure where we're going with that, but that's another story. We'll see how much money we have left over, but I understand why.
But doesn't this committee have to decide that this is the price and we're agreeing to
And
that?
I don't know why nobody gets this. They gave us a price last month of, we can meet the $6 million number. But we have to go out and we have to shop the rest of the job out, because we're assuming that Field Turf gave us a number that works within our budget. But if Fucci goes back with a number, and that's $6 million and $7 million, because all the other work that they do is higher than we expected, then we start taking turf off the field. We start eliminating turf, because the turf price is a fixed number, whatever its square foot cost is, it's fixed. I assume, I've never done this before, but they have a number that they have, 90,000 square feet of field at that product spec. And then Liberty gives us a price to do their work, which is really the subsurface work. I think, do they install it, or does Field Turf install it?
Field turf.
Field Turf.
Field Turf install it. But between Liberty and Fucci, that number can change by, I know, I hope it won't, $1 million. So all Field Turf is gonna do is design what they're gonna put out in the field, based on what we've heard in the trailer, what the product is, because everybody worried about the quality of the product, which has to be released.
We remember last meeting, we gave out the quality was on that sheet.
Okay, I
Everybody-
remember that, but
Yeah.
the quality of the product itself, that's what they'll provide. But honestly, if Fucci's number and Liberty comes in, which I heard they're being pigs, by the way.
Yeah, 4
Um,
pages.
we don't have the final pricing for Fucci and Liberty yet, so, because they don't have the final drawings. But that's the number that would trigger how much we buy in turf. The turf company gives us their turf price, their installation price, their labor price. It's the rest of the stuff that can destroy us. Because we might hit a berry hole that's 50 feet deep, full of junk. Last meeting, I think, in a trailer, we talked to the geotech guy. He's comfortable that we won't hit a huge problem out there. He's gonna be out there testing. If we hit a hole that has material we shouldn't be using junk, I was gonna say, go on there. Then he'll inspect it, and he may say, okay, get your compactor over that big roller out here, compact it, I'll test the compaction. If it passes, let's just get it covered up and move on. Or he may say, need to dig it out until we run out of that material. So the Field Turf stuff, what he's done satisfies what he has to do. To be honest, his work is, other than the quality of the product and what he's survived, is probably what, 20% of the total?
Yeah, 1.8.
It's a third. Yeah. I mean, his price should be fixed, whether it's lower quality or higher quality.
His price went down.
But even that, there's no other change. We can't, the possibility of change orders from things, unless we change the specification.
Yes.
And I heard this is what's underground or not underground. And actually, what he did provide tonight, by making those changes to the grades, we could save, I'm betting it's $100,000 or more on the wall and and the credit of $80,000.
$80,000, yeah.
Staircase, yeah.
It'll be $150,000.
Right, the other side of the savings that you'll see on the stair and the retaining wall reduction is we're exporting more material. You know, getting rid of, the job has too much material, has too much earth. And so I like the slope because it's less retaining wall, you know, it may be a better design and a more comfortable place to live and exist, but you will be shipping out more earth.
But it'll be mostly topsoil,
Because there's so much topsoil down there.
which right now, Mountaintop Trucking has agreed to take for free, but we'll have to pay Fuji to excavate, to load
To
it.
load it.
Yeah,
And then the city.
but they have that in their price.
And Department of Public Works is taking it out.
Yeah.
For free. Maybe they'll take it all.
Maybe they will.
They will, no.
So in March, all the pricing will be back.
No, on
No.
March 12th, these designs that you're looking at and the decision of the retaining wall removal, those drawings don't come to O&G until March 12th. And so I'm hoping we have a meeting on March 20th, plus minus, it's about 7 days. You know, if I can get the numbers here, I'll at least have something to present to you on March 20th. But what I will have firm is the cost to change the grades to what you see here. And the cost to change the storm system to support the grades that you see here. And we'll be releasing that portion of the work.
And that will be, so that will be the credit portion, in effect. Because we have two components of the credits, which we have an estimate already. But this will impact the credits we get. One way or the other. Because
Right,
Fuji.
the earthwork change will have pluses. and
Yeah,
minuses.
earthwork change.
Both ways, yeah.
So, I mean, it's not gonna happen right away, other than you've been able to receive pricing to date. That is still preliminary because the drawings are not finalized, but I don't know if you wanna talk about this tonight. Or if you wanna- I mean, I think you should at least let everybody know where we stand on some of those costs. Some of the credits, you mentioned you have some credits.
Yes.
Detail,
Yeah.
and some preliminary, but.
Well, first of all, to Dan's point. While Field Turf is doing their estimate that you guys hopefully see in March, ONG is gonna actually do the same estimate. Is it March?
Right. but
Yeah.
I think you're confusing. Field turf's cost right now is based on the
Did I say
limit
Field
of
Turf?
where,
I
yeah,
meant to say Fuji, I'm sorry.
okay. Yeah, field turf's cost is based on the limit of where you have synthetic carpet right now. That will not change.
No,
So what is Field Turf's number?
1.74.
1 point, yeah.
Is that with it,
1.8.
they reduced
So
it,
1.81,
They reduced it, yeah.
and it was, yeah, we're still working on 60.
so we're still working on 60,000.
They were paid separately for the design, for the renderings though.
No,
If they get incorporated in to like. if Field Turf provides their product, the number is fixed. And they won't charge it for the effort in the layout.
yeah, if we ran out and used something else, then you'd have to pay.
Are there any other numbers you can let the board know that you received?
Well, we have very preliminary
Very.
numbers from Fuji
Yeah.
because they're working off of that. An old rendering of, an old version of
Working
drawing.
off of the elevations that were established when Field Turf laid out the field limits and established the elevations of the earth. Now Slam has it and they are conforming or confirming those elevations. And so there are no, the Fuji numbers that we provided as our order of magnitude at the last meeting will need to be revised based on the information I get end of day tomorrow or Monday.
So I want to just go back to the, sorry, but I think
It's
it
okay.
helps.
Yeah.
Jeff had asked the question last year about the 1.2 million versus the 6 million.
well, there's two
Yeah, I want to explain.
two credits. There's a credit here for the stairs and for the wall. That's, you have to think of this as a separate project that we submit to the state. Okay, then you have the original project, which we are, because we're not doing grass, we're gonna get a 1.1 to 1.5 million dollar credit. 900,000 of that credit goes to paying 15% of the $6 million. The additional credit we're holding for contingency because we're still building the gym and that area. Wow.
Your number last month had in the 6 million, we had contingency. You carried some for the dirt.
Yeah, but But that's separate, that's
So
separate.
to clarify, I mean, Jeff, I think the question was, you thought we were doing the 6 million plus the 1.2. 6 million is the total. 5.1, that's the worst case. 5.1 is the state's portion. 900,000 is ours, which we're gonna use that, if we get $1.2 million or $1.5 million, whatever it is. We're gonna take $900,000 of that to match our 15%.
So the document provided in the last meeting showed a project total of somewhere in the neighborhood of $6.8 million. And it showed the $900,000 credit
Yeah, well, that's.
coming against
that
it.
was
So we
wrong.
were,
Yeah,
we were
that's how I
ending the
looked
net.
That has to be separate,
It's the most we will pay is $6 million.
$6 million, period.
Right,
That's what,
I
that's
get
what,
that.
$6 million is what you're gonna pay for. The 900,000 is separate, that we have to keep aside for the 15%. So when we get reimbursed from the state of 5,000,001, we have the 900,000 that covers it. So we have 6 million reimbursement.
I get that, but the 900,000 was already in your number on the last.
It was wrong, it shouldn't have been in there. People don't understand it,
Oh, do we have a
okay?
new one?
No, we don't have a new one yet. But I'm just saying, 6 million
We're spending $6 million max.
max.
We don't have final numbers yet. Of that, we know right now we have credits roughly, but they're not final numbers, so it doesn't matter. It's $1.2 million. The most we're gonna get is $5.1 million. The 900 has to come from credits. Or we're not gonna build it for you.
Yes.
We go backwards from there.
Yeah.
This is the way it works.
I get you, but everybody's talking about having to move forward. We have to have this date, we have to have this date, we have to
Yeah.
start grading buildings. It's hard to do that when you don't know. I'm not on the committee,
We
but
do have a final number. They have listen, if we don't make that number, we don't build the turf. It's that simple.
Jeff,
But we won't have the final numbers until everything's done. This is the way it works. Unfortunately, the city's making us come back. So $6 million is the most we're gonna pay. We may decide not to spend $6 million. It's up to the building committee. But the $900,000 of that is coming from the projected credits. Those credits are gonna change 15 times between now and the end of March.
Yeah, there's a lot of ads and a lot of
So to
credits.
keep handing out breakdowns of stuff that doesn't really mean anything, which I would never do during construction, to be perfectly honest, because until it's a final set of drawings, the subs will tell you. It's an estimate, but it doesn't mean anything until you got final drawings. So I think I made a mistake. Maybe, or whatever you're talking about had a mistake on it. We're gonna spend $6 million max. 900,000 is for credits, and if we don't get $900,000 in credits, guess what? We start taking turf off the field. That's our only option.
Does that count the cost of the architectural drawings?
There's no,
Yeah,
Yes.
yes, we have that in
That's-
budget.
That's
Yeah, it's all-
in the.
It's all in
$6
there.
million.
That's in
Yeah,
there.
you got the
Just ask.
the
Yeah, I
memo
don't-
from
yeah.
me on the.
so what's the problem? Because we gotta get through this. We gotta get over this chit chat back and forth. You get pissed off. You ask questions, then you don't like the answer. What
I
don't
asked
you
the
understand?
question. I'm just waiting to see the action. I'm trying to understand.
But this is going on for a month. Again, when you give a preliminary quote, are you willing to say when you do a preliminary without seeing the site, without having a full set of drawings, that's your final number?
No, you can't do that.
Exactly. So what do you want us to do? What do you want them to do? Give you a number that's not final?
We just want to understand because we're not in that business.
We're spending, it's not the question of whether or not you're in the business or not. There are no final numbers yet. So to give you a number that's not final means in a month from time or two, you're gonna say, well, we had another number before.
But you explained tonight, which makes me understand much better, that it's gonna be
But
6
he's-
million.
he's
And
talking-
wait a minute, let me finish. And then if we don't get it, then we start cutting.
We've been saying that for 6 months.
I didn't get that.
Oh,
It's a $6 million project. Our share is 900 grand.
Which is,
We're gonna
Pay
fit
for it.
everything we can for $6 million.
Yeah.
And anything we can't fit gets
I know you
removed.
moved. Yeah, we talked, yes.
It's just confusing when then Ed says that $900 leave out. I mean, but then you're saying it gets applied in ours, so it's,
Try to better explain.
you guys have.
what it
in
is,
there,
it's six,
we don't.
it's $6 million we spend, okay? We get reimbursed 5.1 million. The 900,000 covers the total reimbursement, which was on the referendum.
When it comes to-
So we're covered for $6 million, $6 million reimbursement, 5.1 million they give us. 900,000 we have
Credits.
on the
We
credit.
don't have it right now. We don't have it. We'll get it when we get the credits.
Yeah.
Total cost would be 6.
Correct.
6 million.
6 million.
Yeah,
That's
that's, I want to think of it.
They're
That's all.
5.1.
The answer is the last set of forms just didn't represent it correctly, so.
I agree,
that's the
I
answer.
said that, that was wrong.
That's,
Yes, you're right.
but that's all I have to go on. So you have to understand
Yeah,
the
no, I
questions are based
understand.
on what I have.
We just gotta separate the credits here and the credits there.
Go ahead, Greg. Well,
Just-
not the picture, but it is.
Just to be, I'll be brief, but I think it would be helpful if, if there's budgetary numbers, even though they're not fixed right now, for the committee members to follow, will help them understand. Whatever it is, where the 6 million is, where it's being spent, where the credits are coming from, even if though they're not accurate and they're gonna float around, at least they have something to follow so they can help comprehend what's going on. That's part of the committee to understand what's going on. The other part of it was, I don't come to all the meetings and I apologize, but it's, you showed us some quality of turf, but I don't think everybody here understands exactly what they're getting on different fields. Or is the whole thing the same kind of turf?
No,
or-
no, it was, and I don't have it in front of me. It was.
I went and looked, you had double play. It was just the baseball turf.
No, it had everyone. You looked at the thing.
Yeah, no,
There's two types of synthetic turf product. And they're
Okay.
identified in the spec that was delivered at last week's.
Glenn, I think the infield's one and all the outfields are another.
Yeah, but what about the multi-purpose field? Is that something different?
It's not, it's one of the two.
No, because it's the outfields.
Okay.
And it's fine for soccer. They use it for soccer.
Soccer and is,
Football.
someone mentioned, I don't know who
Lacrosse.
it was,
Oh, it's good for all of that stuff.
lacrosse, field hockey.
Yeah.
It's-
But you don't want you don't want the infield one on the outfield.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I was just wondering about the multi-purpose
Yeah.
field. What they're getting. That's all.
Yeah, no, they've used the same combination on all the universities they've done and all the prep schools and all the high schools in Salisbury School, which is the one I went to look at and Mike
Just
went
see
to
if the
look
spec
at.
has it. I don't know, I didn't. even
It
look up.
does, yeah, it
Oh, it
does.
does? Okay.
So, and your first part of your question is, and you correct me if I'm wrong, really, there's one guy, right? Fucci, he's got the whole, he's the guy, he's got everything under his umbrella.
Yep.
Right.
Right, so until we get itemized numbers, I don't even know if we will get, we will get itemized numbers, yeah. Until we get itemized numbers from him, other than the turf, just because we know. We really can't give you any pricing.
Well, I think to Gloria's point, you don't want to be tossing numbers back and forth multiple times. It will create more confusion. The baseline estimate or the rough order of magnitude numbers that we carried and presented at last month's meeting is what you should be using to validate where you're at with the different pieces of the puzzle. There is some detail that wasn't, in the field line. I think we had just only one field line. We do have, an 8-line value of each of the components of that. That could be shared if you wanted to have it. It just.
It's really up to the committee. I'm just kind of an impartial
Right.
party here, but I don't know, perhaps people would like to
They're
see
gonna-
the 8
but those
lines
numbers are
so
gonna
that they
bounce
can put
around.
it in their head so they understand.
Should be shared. Might,
But to Dan's point,
Yeah, it's gonna
they are gonna change.
Well,
They're
absolutely.
gonna move
as
around.
long as they understand it, it doesn't matter.
And a big part of that is not just the work that's below the carpet, but the work that SLAM is developing now. The fact that the site grades are changing, the sidewalks are changing.
Sure.
Those are all gonna now have to get pulled into that matrix of costs. Just to make sure I say something, it's not all CJ Fuji. You do have the electrical contractor Tinto involved in the project.
Yeah.
Their scope changes.
And they're
with
not
the
under
electricity.
Fuji's, they're not under
They're
Fuji's
not
umbrella.
on, right, they have a trade contract of their own.
Fuji's just a site guy,
Ultimately,
right?
the building is gonna have, 10
He owns,
contractors
yeah, he owns
involved.
the contract.
Yeah, he's the site guy.
But he's got pretty much everything except that, right? He's got the
Lights and building.
sidewalks,
Lights and building.
Right,
outside
buildings,
of his-
yeah.
right, lights and buildings, sidewalks are his, the fences is his, right? All that stuff
The
is
turf is
his.
his contract.
What's that?
Everything's his contract.
And the turf is his contract.
So, and another question is that, so Fuji's gonna hire whoever Fuji hires Liberty, I guess, to do the
Stone.
below grade
Stone.
work for the turf, right?
Right.
So he essentially negotiates with Liberty.
Correct.
He's
Right.
got it, and then Fuji's price will include Liberty's work. Correct,
And yes,
got it. And
And-
so when we get his price, it's all gonna not only be Fuji's work, but Liberty's work.
right. But not to say that it's not only Fuji that's negotiating with Liberty, we're in the mix.
Oh, you are, okay.
It's just, when Liberty provides the price, so Liberty has a contract with CJ Fuji to provide grass. They're giving back that cost, but they're adding cost in to provide curbs to anchor the synthetic turf down. To provide field improvements that are related to the synthetic turf, such as the bleachers or those type of things, and the poles. Their pricing is all gonna be negotiated as part of our overall look at it. And our estimating team at ONG's office is going to be taking their breakdown of cost for linear foot of curb, for linear foot of fence, and comparing it to industry standards.
And the reason for that is because they think they have us by the ball, or by the, whatever.
Right.
And we want to show them that they don't. Because we don't want them to have, don't want that to happen.
No,
Because Gucci can decide I want to use them, but
So
Yep.
back to the price for the turf. That has to be. Decision has to be made now because the price is gonna go
No,
up
not
in 2 weeks.
no.
Next month.
Okay, so we have until next month.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
I meant even more than that. It really, if the town wants us to go back and the city engineer wants to review the drawings and he always makes $1 million worth of changes. It might force Fuji to give us another price because they added more stone, more pipe. That's why they don't want to go through the whole public hearing process.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because Paul can cause problems and delays. He can take months. It's awful.
Here, this is a public meeting too.
I know. He knows it. He knows.
Wow, well, let's not
I know.
throw stones.
He can cause problems. He can. I tell him all the time.
One more question. As we get pricing and as it gets to a bottom line. Did I hear you correctly that you said that if we go over 600, the only option is to pull back turf
6 million.
at 6 million?
Yeah, that's the only option.
So there's no option to get a lesser quality
Oh, no, yes, I think that's,
Okay.
that should be an option. I
So it's not
mentioned it to
just-
Mario.
decrease in quantity, but we
Correct,
could,
sorry,
but
yes.
that goes to Fiona's point at. Like, are we involved in that at that point or?
So we have to prove it. Right? Yeah, we have to be involved in everything.
We expect change.
All of us are involved, we can't do anything until we like.
So, yeah. yeah,
I would think if it
that
came
would
to-
just clear.
Or
Right,
over
I just
$6
wanted to
million.
make sure it wasn't that we have to take off a field or something. We have
No,
options.
no, if they, if
We
they,
really want all turf, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
if they say it's $6.3 million, but it includes the building, then we gotta decide if we're gonna remove some turf or we're gonna remove the building. We had previously said we were gonna do turf, building, lights, but it's a group decision.
Just to throw this, I remember from last month's meeting, we don't have the choice to get rid of the building because Dan's taking the bathrooms out of the existing space,
That is true.
right?
I mean,
Just,
it's a valid point.
my memory can be dangerous sometimes.
No, in this case, it's correct.
They may have to go back in.
If the
we
building
didn't have
goes
money.
away, you're gonna wanna put restrooms in where you expected to put restrooms before.
Which
We
we,
will be at a point at next building committee meeting where
That has to,
with that decision has to get made.
but we won't have the final pricing to make that decision until the first week of
Yeah.
April.
You're only gonna,
then it
you're only
sounds
gonna
like.
have
the
an
building here to
iteration
stay
of
and
price.
we'll
Yeah.
turf festival.
Fortunately, the March 12th
I
is a little too close to the March.
really don't think we're gonna be in that position, not gonna look back.
Right, I think we're moving in the right direction,
Yeah.
farther from the limit line of $6 million. I think you're in better shape than you were based on.
Well, just
the
today,
savings
tonight,
you've seen.
you just saved over 150,000. So
And
Did Kemp leave? Kemp,
No, I'm still here.
do we need Kemp anymore? Could he go take some NyQuil and?
yes, take some NyQuil, take 2 aspirins, call me in the morning, okay?
I will do that.
Do we have a floor plan of this yet, of this building?
Kemp,
Yes.
is there a plan of that building other than the one we drew on the napkin?
The plan of the auxiliary building?
Yeah.
Yeah, hang on. That's what gets sent around today. I'll put it up on the screen again.
If I can, Dean,
You could just send it. I don't need it right now. Let them go down. If we can get it tomorrow. something.
would making the building a different shape impact its functionality for you? Like right now, a long skinny building that you have, room on
I
the
saw that.
side or the wings of.
I saw that, Kemp, sorry, but an interior floor, oh, there it is, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, I meant more.
Oh, it's yours.
Okay, so-
It got cropped
It's
out.
not in
We
this
don't-
packet. It's on some drawings, but not in
So you're
this.
showing the bathrooms and how many stalls there are and all that? I can't see it from that.
It's just single use baths.
Single use.
2 single-use toilet rooms.
an overhang roof over the concession window. Get you out of the rain,
Yeah,
and then your door over there to the right.
and then as far as, like putting some kitchen equipment in and stuff we're trying to save.
Yeah, we gotta- yeah, we
space
gotta-
and all that. Okay, okay.
We gotta
We've
get.
got some, yeah, we've got some placeholders, footprints here for something. We gotta coordinate on that.
I'm just not seeing the merit. I mean, I kind of like the square building, but I'm not seeing the merit in the value or the savings you're gonna get. If it fits into the site a little bit better, it could turn into a more square building. But the layout that you have is pretty functional.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
a nice overhang for the concession stand. It's not a bad shape.
No.
And if, you know, if storage works well for Dean, I would discount the idea of making the building more square.
Yeah, and I don't think it's gonna gain you a lot from the retention. or-
As I was reflecting on it, I don't think it will either.
No, I think.
That's my control.
That's one.
That's football
Is that
track
temporary?
and stuff like that. You got a bumper crop of storage.
Yeah.
Squeaky wheel and all that.
Yeah, how wide is the overhead door there for Dean to get his equipment in and out of?
That's not my.
Yeah, just to be clear, that's athletic storage.
Yeah, this is athletic storage, it's 10 feet wide.
I'm asking the wrong guy.
Yeah, it's okay. He'll take it if he could get his hands on it.
Yeah.
Oh, you get the other space.
Yeah, he has the others.
So Jeff, that'll be tackling dummies, hurdles, you know, stuff like
Stuff that's
the
not 10 feet.
the
wide.
pads,
Yeah.
the pads.
So it's not behind the bleachers?
Well, yeah,
So maybe.
yeah, something. We'll probably improve that area eventually, hopefully. Okay,
Okay,
Thanks, Ken.
Take,
All right, you bet.
night.
bye.
Bye.
Carry on. John Jenny's been
John.
snoring for half an hour.
Yeah,
You always have me follow the spirited conversation.
yeah.
It's been relatively quiet since our last meeting, which was quite busy. Our last report that was published was from 100 milestone. We're tracking 21 items, it's gone down a little bit. And like before, there are several that are pending warm weather, like the roof work and so forth. And there are a couple items that are tracking as reminders as work progresses through the building. The balance are all in the either in the middle school or on a punch list for the high school. CES's report was report number 13. They're tracking 9 items. Those 9 items are either on the punch list of the high school or they're also in the middle school in the in progress activities. No more special inspections since our last meeting, no materials testing since our last meeting, no commissioning since our last meeting. There were 3 startup tests. We had access control, fiber cable, and the playground. Those 3 were tested and there were no non-conforming items raised. And that is it. I know Dan mentioned earlier, they're still testing and balancing, and we're expecting another report from them within the next,
Middle to end of next week.
okay? So that'll be the next report that we'll see. So again, once the high school is occupied, a lot of the testing and inspection activities tail off, and then they'll mobilize back up again once the middle school gets going and it's going towards the end of.
Yeah, middle of April to end of April that we'll start to balance the middle school. So
And we'll also get some more site testing done once the ground thaws and we have pavement and concrete and so forth.
foundations, yeah.
Thanks, John. Next is application and certificate for payment. $1,139,476.33. You have your list of all the contractors. Have a motion to approve that. Donna, thank you. Second, and Armand. Any discussion? Yeah, no, any discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay,
Just one question.
yeah,
Related to Slam, he's off, but. Are we gonna get a credit for him not having his extra people here? How's that gonna work? It's really irritating me.
yeah,
Well,
who you think is not?
I know you are, so do you anticipate,
It's gonna be
Yeah,
just so everybody,
a serious
People have
topic
to
of
say-
conversation.
conversation.
Yeah,
you're supposed to have his staff here.
Yeah.
Haven't met him in 6 months. I wasn't
In the
there.
contract, supposed to have 150 days and all that stuff, so we got it. But it's gonna be,
That's fine.
okay.
Money's on you. I'm back to the
Yeah,
contract too.
we have the checkbook.
Right. I just don't understand how they do it.
Yeah. Okay, young man, Dan, you're on.
It's PCO time
Yeah,
already?
yeah.
Well, as you can tell from the list of PCOs, we have quite a few. If you need additional detail, please feel free to stop me, but I do want to touch on every single one. So I'll start with PCO 417 R1. This relates to incorporating cameras into the Kone elevator system. Kone doesn't provide digital cable in their travelers that feeds the utilities to the moving cab. We missed it in the earliest coordination of the buyout, so we had to buy converters for that. A $2,800 hit to the CM contingency. The next one, PCO 462, is a flow meter that was not powered up as part of our contract documents, but is appropriately powered up. So there's an add cost of $1,600 to do that. 465 is back charge between trades. 466, we physically had to move the instrument washer that wasn't discovered at the time of bid. It was discovered in post. So small cost to do that. Temporary toilets, ongoing theme there for December. Yeah, we're struggling with that unfortunate cost. The next one, PCO 468, outside the building on the lowest point where you enter by the mechanical areas. We were getting too much surface water right by the back door. Some water was coming in under the door. So we regraded and added a drainage structure there. That was an add to contract of $5,400. Was noted that the eye washes, PCO 470, that the eye washes that service the two sinks in the nurses suite, in both high school and middle school, had a fixed eye wash and it was too difficult to get to. So instead of a fixed one, now it's on a wand for a material only cost of $3,300 or $3,400 with overhead and profit. Stanchion, we placed the slab for the card reader as you walk into the main high school. We were told to incorporate that on an elevated slab, but hindsight, that really should be a flat pad, so we removed and replaced that. We took that as a contingency hit. We had a issue when they were mounting the structural steel on the outside of the auditorium. They lagged that angle iron into the foundation. And when they did, they penetrated a radiant pipe for servicing the radiators that are in the baseboard. Completely couldn't be known exactly where the radiant pipe was in the slab. So we did not ding the contractor for that, but instead funded that from the CM contingency. We had to take up the slab and repair that. That was a last minute thing before we moved in, I have to tell you. Kind of an interesting thing to do. We did have some haggling with MJ Daly on PCO 473, where they weren't providing some supervision on premium on overtime work. So we dinged them for that. The exit signs in the auditorium had inaccurate nomenclature. They didn't have the little chair on the sign that says you can get to grade. So the building official caught that during the final walkthroughs. We had to replace 2 exit signs. Condensate pumps. This was a coordination of, we powered the fan coil units in the ceilings, but the drawings didn't pick up a point of contact for the condensate pump that has to pump that residue away. So we had to fund that out of the CM contingency. Again, going back into the ceiling to power that up.
We talked about this before, whether it's a design error or design bust or.
This one is
Couldn't anticipate it, but what is it?
So this one, I took it to the CM contingency, making it our coordination bust, but what happens here is there's a schedule in the contract documents or the drawings that say, I'm a fan coil, coordinate getting power to my condensate pump with the electrician. So the documents told us to coordinate that, but I didn't get that information into the field in time so that when they powered up the unit, the condensate pump wasn't right there to power.
So it's your fault.
Would have been, so it's my fault. Genuinely,
But if it's in the spec, why don't they know about it?
the coordinate the power
You didn't coordinate, or they didn't.
Right, I didn't coordinate it. Should the electrician said, hey, I'm gonna power that, I'm gonna power that air handling piece of equipment. Where's the pump? He just did what was shown on the drawings. He powered up the air handling piece of equipment. And in full, you'll see at the very end of this, there's another one. The total cost of that problem, going back to all of these units, there's about 20 of them in the building, was probably a total cost of around $7,000. PCO 476 is a back charge between trades. Again, more cleanup that we could assign. Auditorium acoustical panels. So back at the time of bid, we were unable to provide a firm cost for the very nice panels that you have in your auditorium. And so I had to carry an allowance at bid time. I didn't have any idea how much that stuff was worth. I only carried a $40,000 number. How much money can you spend in an auditorium on acoustical panels? Panels themselves cost $33,000. So then to get them installed physically in the building, the overrun over the allowance is what was a hit to the GMP or an increase to the GMP. So that's an expensive cost to this committee. Next item is the fin tube radiation in the corridor. If you notice, as you walk into the high school, there's fin tube radiation. It's very nice. The straight runs have a nice protective cap over them, but the radial pieces that go around the curve, they don't have that protective piece. And in hindsight, SLAM said, we don't like that. We've got to have protective covers over the top of these. So it actually came back as a credit because now through SLAM's effort to re-engineer, they reduced the length. And so there was a credit back on the amount of fin tube radiation. So we chased the credit. It had in PCO 480, a couple of locations where fire strobes conflicted with incoming FF&E in the library. The wall shelving system impacted the ability, so we had to move that, plus a couple other small locations. Entering I'm on PCO 481, when you enter the middle school gym, those doors didn't have a stay, didn't have an automatic hold open. We brought that to the attention of SLAM and they said add hold opens because people don't want to open those doors over and over and over every day. And shoes are really not appropriate. So there's a $1,300 cost for that. The fin tube radiators came in late, so there was a back charge between trades to go back and patch behind them. PCO 483 exterior expansion joints. This comes as a small, field condition issue that we applied to the CM contingency, $1,300 to coordinate the width of those pieces of expansion material. We have a $5,000 hit to the CM contingency, and that was just generally keeping up with removing temporary protection, general debris cleanup, stepping it up as we entered the final throw of the turnover. We had an issue in the gym locker restroom in which the shower pan was installed. And then when we went to put the tile on, there was a crack in the corner. And I made the executive decision that I just did not want to have a repair on a shower basin. It made more sense to take it out and replace it. So there's the cost to that. And that's the other, and then there's an acoustical tile portion that was included in the same PCO. In the auditorium, there was a leak. We could not figure out why or where or how, but the panels that get installed in the ceiling were there for 3 months. And when we went to turn over the space, we realized that one of them had some water damage. And we couldn't assign it. We wanted to assign it to the roofing contractor. It wasn't his. Where that water came in, we were unable to find.
It's 4,992. With one panel?
One panel. So you have all those white panels that are
What the designs on them?
yeah. As a matter of fact, so the new one finally came in and we're gonna install it on Saturday. I don't know if anybody noticed it was missing. Let's see, so we had floor protection. This is again, just us doing due diligence and making sure that finishes in the building were protected. So we have a CM contingency cost of $3,000 for doing that. Caulking at the control joints, we have exposed concrete floors that are painted and the saw cuts that we use to relieve the slab at the time of placement. Didn't call for caulking, but they always fill up with gunk, so we caulked them at a small cost of $2,400, again, off the contingency to make just a better product. There was a small dent in one of the refrigerators that came into the kitchen. It was picked up on punch list review and negotiated to be a $500 savings to the project. In the foods lab, there was a bad coordination between what was supposed to be installed, which are under counter dishwasher units that didn't fit within the stainless steel serving or working surfaces. So we had to have the food service contractor come in, cut some stainless out, make repairs, touch it up. And then we also had to have the plumber take his work off, the electrician take his work off in order to facilitate that. At a cost of $4,000 to the project. We have a back charge between trades again. The plumbing contractor, HVAC contractor laid out some holes for access that did not work. The next is $491 to the fireproof patching for E&F and also $492. $491 is the middle school. $492 is the exterior columns. Were just outside for a year before we put the cladding on them, so they had to be resprayed. Two costs to the CM contingency for that. The next is a small cost. We analyzed the paint in discussion with Dean. He didn't need every color, a gallon of every color, so there's 16 gallons paint, a credit of $38 a gallon. January temporary toilets, same thing every month. Missed metal plates, so during the throes of getting the final building official approvals, we realized that we had a pipe that was interfering with the electrical clearance requirement. So we had to order a grating. And also we realized that you could stick your arm through the screens that protect students from getting through the gate to get to the roof. So we added a piece of plate so you couldn't stick your hand through the fence. This next one is PCO 496, which was an agreement between the concrete trade didn't want to come back and do his work, so he had the site contractor do it. No cost to the project. The next item calls it's identified as a make safe, and this was for the big last event, the high school reunion that came through, had an assembly in the gym, so we had to clean that area out and again make safe for a secondary egress. It also provided some temporary enclosures we had to build related to the makerspace or our temporary changing rooms. A CM contingency thought, we just applied it to that. A couple of wall stops because the partitions in the bathrooms banged into the walls. The upsized VAV has finally come to closure at a cost of $12,000, and that's goes back 2 meetings.
This is the second charge.
No, this is one and only.
Okay, it's not a repeat.
It's not a repeat. It just came to
This kind of, I don't think we ever decided, this issue here. The slam.
This is
issue?
pure design.
It's HVAC. Oh, would it be HVAC design?
Slams.
Yeah.
Slams
Wasn't
just
sure- I
underside
wasn't
the
sure
piece.
if MJ Daly was doing them.
No, it wasn't a delegated. It was, it was in the documents, undersized. Let's see. So we put the repeater that allows communication into our new building. It wasn't part of the base contract. We provided a dedicated electrical circuit for that. More toggle switches on fan coil units. That's where I called. So the first line item there, actually, I'm not sure if it's the $2,400 or the $1,700. That was to finish that toggle switches for the condensate pumps. And this, we also had a scope bust in a similar way on the split unit condensate pumps, where we had to have the electrician come in and finalize the wiring because it wasn't defined by scope. We took those costs to the CM contingency. We painted all of the separation walls just to make them look a little better between our now occupied building and the future work. Temp walls, this is more providing those demising or the screens outside to prevent people from looking into temporary changing room. That's all that was. Again, the heyday of getting the lower level finished, we engaged the general trades contractor to get product out on a daily basis, just to move that stuff forward, tracking that work on T&M and applying the cost of construction. We had some miscellaneous items, again, kind of wrapping up and closing out some of these small things that hang out. Small things like we had a clearance issue on the handrails. They were too close to receptacle on the chillers was one of the items. Touch up on seated concrete, modify casework to accommodate paper towel dispensers. We had the acid neutralization sinks underneath the sinks in the science classrooms. We had to modify the casework for that. Again, applied to a cost of the work on the CM contingency. And then we are at PCO 506. Ultimately, we love a clean building. We cleaned the building multiple times. All of the re-cleaning and the final cleaning that was done, we took onto the project. We didn't pass it on to Dean's group. We just kept a clean building as we ran up to deliver it.
Did we not carry, what was, did we carry a cleaning?
The clean allowance was about $22,000. We expended that in addition to this 40. So we have nothing for the next phase. So we have to be done really early and allow things to happen very smoothly. No heyday or rush. So a big significant cost to the CM contingency. Month to month CM contingency this month was 116,000, I believe. I look at Mike because Mike's a left-hand man. He's been managing money really well and stepping into the role that take my job. Let's see, we had a missed power supply for a couple of trap primers. There's trap primers shown in the plumbing drawings where we didn't have electrical circuits. Acoustical sealant within piping. This is this is probably the fourth cost to the CM contingency because I didn't buy that caulking at the time of bid. The next one was a freebie, but it was a proposal request. When we get issued a proposal request, we have to issue a document that says we're doing it, even if it didn't cost anybody anything. They added filling to one of the doors because it was appropriate that people don't look through the window. A lactation room. And in the last but not least is PCO 509, which is at the loading dock area, the steps that go up the loading dock. In the architectural drawings, it carried a wall in the approved or in the bid document, concrete documents. If you recall, way back at the beginning, we pre-detailed all the rebar. And all of those documents didn't pick up that wall, so we had to buy it at this price.
We have lost the contingency.
I
See, we now have two sides. I think we all had it all under your contingency in the past, but now it's.
No, we had orders and.
Right, I never carried in my cost what is on the owner's side. What moves around on the owner's side of the contingency is there. What we have now. 617,000 is in the CM at-risk contingency, things that I would pay for 617.
You have about 7 on our side or something? No.
About $27.
Yeah. Oh, there was a document that was in here. It must just be an old document.
Yeah, no, if you look at all our contingencies, we encumbered now, we had 343,000, we encumbered 343,000. So and that's why we're waiting for the credits for the other stuff.
So in your packet, just to make sure we can be clear, this summary data page, this is last month's figure and then this month's figure. So that's where I said if we look to, we had 750 last month, we only have 617 this month. Happens on every project. You get to the delivery month and you start running through labor.
Okay. Have a motion to approve all these PCOs. Robin, second.
I'll second it.
Armand. Any discussion?
I have just a question about the PCOs. Two things. How many of these PCOs, I hear you said, is it a designer? What constitutes a designer? Like a dishwasher that doesn't fit in a cabinet, underneath the cabinet, or underneath the stainless steel counter. Is that because it was designed incorrectly and they didn't fit? Or I mean, what are some of the examples of that? There's a lot of money in those PCOs that sound like.
We do, I shouldn't say we, John does a
Spreadsheet.
every time we do a change order to the state of Connecticut. And he lists what's O and Gs, what we wanted to
Sure, we
do,
changed, yeah.
and what omissions that Slam did. So we have a total running for that.
And we're still in a good percentage of what would be typical for.
Yeah,
Yes, but we don't care about what the percentage is.
yeah, right.
We just care that
The big
15% is not being reimbursed.
Right,
To answer your question,
but
design
I'm
error
just saying
would
for
be,
Jeff.
if the building was designed with a beam, 12-inch deep beam, and it was installed and it was determined it was too small, another beam would be required. That's an error where something has to get redone, whereas an omission is the beam wasn't shown. You've got to buy the beam. That's a design omission. You would have had to have bought it anyway. You're not replacing something that was designed wrong. So it's a design error, which is what they have to redo something. It's a design omission where you add something that you would have had to have anyway.
So there's a difference in, I mean, because ultimately you carry the projects based on the design, right? So if they design a building that's $158 million, and at the end of the day, they missed $6 million in things you would have had to buy anyways, how does one account for that? I mean, that's still a design, they didn't design it in, right?
Well, the design is, they're not perfect. There's no guarantee that the design is perfect. It's a complicated building. It's one of a kind. It's like a brand new car.
Yeah, of course.
Goes through all sorts of tests and so forth, whereas a building is built for the first time. So design omissions are not uncommon. Design errors, you see less of. Things are usually designed right, where there's usually issues with other things that are missing. So I think when you go through this, there are certainly more design omissions than there are design errors in this particular project, which is not unusual.
So is there an architect contingency?
No, it falls under the owner contingency.
Right,
And
that's
it's
correct.
just
So
us.
Dan's contingency, like, it's a good point. Dan's contingency is a contingency for construction.
Mhm.
The architect contingency is the owner's contingency.
And you said that $343,000 is encumbered, which means we have an expected expense for it, right?
Correct.
What is that $343,000? What are we anticipating? Was it removal?
Those are the ones that, the signs. Okay, we have the $92,000 encumbered for the signs.
Those are funds that I've alerted the group to, that like the signs. I see a potential cost. We are burdening your contingency in advance. Holding the money aside because you're gonna buy something.
Gotcha. Thank you, guys.
So
Go
we
back all
have,
the way to your initial question, that one under the sink, that's a real tricky one because we were supposed to reuse existing equipment, and the fact that there was a piece of stainless steel rail in the back of that is pretty hard for Slam to have done the level of detail to say, okay, I'm gonna measure it exactly and figure out exactly if I can put that there. So that lands on an owner cost. But was it really an error? Was it really an omission?
That becomes
That
the
gets a little
difficulty in all
gray.
these, right?
And that's what happens is John has to try to categorize all of these items.
So, but John, I mean, emissions, yes, but the problem with emissions is you have to go back and reprice it.
Right,
And that means they're gonna stick it to
there's
us.
a premium, so.
Right.
Let's say you had add a door because it was missed and you bought it during buyout, you're gonna get it at this price. When you have to do it later on, when it's in construction, it tends to come in at this price.
Yeah.
And so that premium that you're paying is something that could be compensable if the amount of errors over the length of the project exceed industry norms. And we've had these conversations before, and so that's where you would have an opportunity to look at those premium costs on those emissions.
Thank you.
Hopefully we will.
yes, yes.
One last question to that. Is there a limit for overhead and profit for those?
On every change order?
Mhm.
Yes, it's established again by the contract
Contract.
between ourselves and the city of Torrington. Those rates are incorporated in everything that when we issue a change order to the trade, they can't exceed the 5% on the sub tier and 10% on the prime.
Okay, so it is,
Yeah.
So
And the
it's
it's
state,
gonna be here, but there is a
and the
cap.
state
that's managed.
reviews
no-
that
there's
come in the
no-
contract.
There's an OH and P cap, but the delta between the door that costs you $500 at bid time and costs you $700 to buy it later. That's a tougher one to buy out.
That's where Dan comes in.
It's where-
Just so you know,
Keep smiling and ask
every
for money.
month, Dan and I go over the law have a log of all the encumbrances that I put on.
Yeah, so you account for them, so they're,
Right.
you know, they're gonna be spent.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, let's wrap it.
Okay, wrap up. Next one,
Oh, for
we have a
the,
motion,
We have a
Robin
motion and a
and
second.
Armand, all in favor? Opposed? Next up, you have the analysis of payment. We've already paid $139 million. And that lists everybody paid, their check number, and so forth. So you have that. Next is the invoices. First one is to Slam. $38,838.75. Have a motion to approve. Robin
Gary.
and Gary. Discussion, all in favor? Aye, opposed. The next one is B and L. $11,030.25. Have a motion to approve. Ellen. And Doug. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Next one is Innovative Engineering for $7,661.50. Have a motion to approve. Robin and Casey.
Casey, ask Case, where you go, buddy? Yep.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed. Next, you have two bills from Meyer. This finishes up his high school move. Thank you. Two bills totaling $51,108.62. Just let you know that the move somewhere over the rainbow. Right, just to let you know, the labor cost for the move was $85,000. But they also had supplies cost for a number of items that the high school wanted was 18,000. So the total move cost was 103,000. That was close to 16 days work. So I have a motion to approve the 51,108.62. Casey.
I'll second.
I'm on. Discussion, all in favor? Aye, opposed. Next one, total communication, 40,000. That's part of their progress payment for people working on the job. Could I have a motion to approve $40,000 for total communication? Casey, Ellen? All in favor? Aye. Next one is R&B. You have the list of all the items that they have done of $147,631.49. Have a motion to approve. Casey. And Gary, sorry. Discussion, all in favor? Aye, opposed. Next one is in Silco. They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 invoices. This is their first invoice. They've done cafeteria. They just finished and we don't have that bill. They finally did what came in late was the tops and the sides of the library stuff. It really looks nice. You saw that?
Yeah, very
Doesn't
nice.
it looks really nice. That was in Silco. So I have a motion to approve all of their PO, all of their invoices for $466,149.77. Casey and Doug. Discussion, all in favor? Aye, opposed. Next one is WB Mason. If you looked at it, I reduced their bills. Just 1 second. First one, just 1 second, sorry. Fingers are not. The first one was for 206,000. I had to reduce it by 11,300. There was one problem and we're not paying for it. And then the second one was $335, no problem. And the third one was reduction of 10,640. Remember, we ordered in the construction lab, we wanted the tables with coasters. They brought us the tables without coasters. So that's why we're deducting that until they bring in the new. They're gonna have to take the old and bring in the new. So,
Dean's gonna install those.
yes.
Underneath the cup.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll eventually pay that.
Eventually, yeah, but we're not gonna do it because
But
they,
not now.
no.
Yeah. Thank
So WB Mason, their total is $247,530. Have a motion to approve Case and Doug, right?
Thanks, Doug.
Doug, you're the best. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay. Next thing, for the good of the order.
I just, I have
Oh,
one.
sorry, I'm
sorry.
Yes.
sorry.
Okay.
I know, but.
Yeah,
Ask this
Mario.
question.
Hang on.
When Slam sent us the goals of $129,000 some dollars,
Yes,
some people have asked, if it wasn't supposed to be 50. So.
yeah, but we asked them to do additional work.
Explain to them what that.
Yes,
was all about.
yeah.
You didn't give me the.
50 is for the fields, 40 is for the building, right off the bat.
Building
So,
being the design. for
right, the design for the building we looked at tonight.
So that comes out of what?
The little building.
That's, we have that in the line, as a line item.
Line item,
Kind of.
In the 6
million
million.
to 6 million.
Yeah, we have that as a line item. Their lumps are a little bit bigger than mine was. There's permitting for $10,000. And there's the interior work that has to be redone as a result of us moving the building or building the building. That's $13,000, so that brings it pretty darn close to right there. So that's how the 50 became 129. Remember when we voted on all those things? Obviously, there's a price to be paid to have it
That
done.
was in our. The $6 million
Yes,
really would have encumbered that anyway.
yes,
Correct,
So-
correct.
yes.
But it's still on. Have to accept it.
No, I'm not gonna deny that.
No, comments, John,
I'm gonna add.
Doug,
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Alan.
Also,
Okay, thank you.
All set? Also, I already apologized to Jeff. I got mad.
Yeah.
Mine's a text out there.
Thank you.
ONG builds tomorrow,
That's right.
bringing in, 2 classes tomorrow. Slam is bringing in, representatives as well as the mechanical and, MP engineers are bringing in people. And we are hopefully engaging these young students to become engineers.
Okay.
Not this week, not this month. No, this month it's engineers.
Oh, it is. Oh, this was.
It is.
Yeah, that was Greta's, part of Greta's, class.
Yeah,
Greta's revenge.
No.
that's it.
I
Thank
do.
You should see, Greta does the engineering and the kid, sometimes I'm in the building real late. And the kids are still working on the,
the robotics, right?
yeah,
the Lego.
unbelievable.
Yeah, it's so great,
Oh,
Unbelievable.
they love that.
so great.
They really are in
Yeah.
school.
Yeah, they had to, I stopped in one day at 6, they let me in, and,
Yeah, getting ready for their competition.
yeah,
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Really, really nice. Anything?
No, nothing.
My kids are in from Seattle, so,
nice.
I didn't go down there.
But
See you today.
you right there.
That never happens.
See?
Also, thank you.
I just have one thing, shocker. During our walkthrough, we had, and Mr. Wilson and Dean, I don't know if we covered that at some point that I'm not aware of, but there was a request for additional blinds. I don't really want to talk about the reasons why we need them. But are you know what I'm talking about, Mr. Wilson, correct?
Yep.
Was that addressed by anyone?
Laura and I have been in conversation about that. We're still talking about
Okay,
the silence.
lines for side lights.
Silence.
Where do those occur, Dan?
Yeah,
Side light shades are only identified in the science classroom, so you can black out the rooms. And I'm thinking there's one more place, might be involved.
I saw one in like one of the teachers' offices. But I think
There was
I
some
think it's
offices-
kind of required. We needed them on all classes.
They're certainly not currently on all classrooms.
Would that be a requirement?
No, and that's what Mario and I have, we started the conversation, we have not picked it up since then, Glenn, so we will continue the conversation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next meeting, I'm sorry. No, yes.
Mike.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's changed. Mike.
He's got a lot to say.
He's got a lot to say during the day. Wow, thank you. Next meeting, March 20th. March 20th, 7:35, have a motion to adjourn. So Ellen. You're in Florida? Oh, yeah, and Rob.
We're